Ooh.
Which chat? Oh, the general. You gotta read the rules. You gotta get and you gotta accept. I think there's an onboarding. There's like an onboarding part. Oh, cause it didn't give you it didn't auto give you a fan role. I don't know why. Oh, I think it's probably because you didn't do something on my Twitch. Here you go. Now you should be able to see it. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, that's your teammate, nigga. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, nigga, he's your teammate, nigga. Yo, love, you pulling up for you wanna pull up for this portal? Yeah, that's your teammate, nigga. I bet. So that's one of your teammates, nigga. You gonna have to find another two more, nigga. Yo, Rumple, I don't have nothing else for you, gang. I'm sorry. Let me see. The fuck? Nigga stole this nigga stole my fucking my stitch, my hat, my stitch for the back for my storm, nigga. Yo, what's up with this nigga? I'm streaming your stream, I'm stealing it. Yo, this nigga Noah is crazy. Hold on, bro. I ain't gonna lie, Noah might have to be our fourth, bro. I mean, one of y'all turds, bro. And he don't have no no max game. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Yeah, bro. They could buff you though. Noah's skilled, bro. He was like I told you, that nigga was the #1 beta player, bro, on Xbox until he quit. But I'm trying to tell you, game. That nigga, he'll be able to help you even if he's low level, cause he'll still buff. He's competent. He's not like uncompetent. He just doesn't have a max cause he didn't play that much a console. Yeah, he's not ace. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, if y'all niggas want a PvP, y'all can meet up at my crib, bro. I got an arena. We can all sit there and watch y'all niggas get it on.
I stole his stream.
Oh, yeah, I do kind of want to see this, bro. Let me see.
I stole his stream.
I gotta see what my nigga Dragon do.
That's my stream now. Thank you for the contact. It's my stream.
Yo, Dragon, what's your name? I'm trying to look for your name on Twitch. It's his actual fucking name. This nigga here. Let me see, I'm checking your stream. How the fuck did you do that on the Xbox, Noah? This nigga deadass stole my stream. What the fuck? What the fuck?
That's my stream. It's my stream now.
Nah, this nigga laughing at my torture. This nigga's crazy. I don't know how this nigga be doing shit that he did. Not okay. Is my shit gonna start echoing? Oh, it's not gonna echo.
It's already echoing, motherfucker.
You find a key
Nigga
marked
stole
with
my
the
fit
image
and
of a
my stream.
white
This shit is
tower.
crazy. Yeah, get your bitch ass in a VC, nigga.
All 10 of them? There's like 10, 20 people in there.
Playboy. I try to get Sylvia and fucking in the fucking Discord, bro. Not my. Yeah, I know there's fucking 10 people in the VC, nigga, but you can still pull up, bro. You can still pull up, bro. It's not gonna hurt you. I don't think you gonna die. You'll be alright. You fucking kryptonite piece of shit.
Okay, fine. I stole your stream.
Here's Noah. See? This nigga, this nigga's a thief. Oh wait, no, this is bad. Wait, I shouldn't have told you to come in here. Actually, you know what? Yeah, you're
I
good, bro.
stole
You're
the
good. Nah,
stream.
no, do your thing, bro. You don't have to be in here right now, bro. Fuck.
Trespasser! Get them!
Okay, good. Phew, I almost had a fucking XK class end of the world scenario, bro. Cause if he would have been here with Dave and both of them start fucking with me at the same time, dog, I would have lost my shit. Yeah, they would have. Yeah, bro. Cause fucking Noah's the master of being an asshole, and then Dave, bro, is the
That's
master
true.
of just fucking. Like he knows how to he enjoys watching me suffer.
Alright, I'll stop stealing your stream.
I'm gonna come back to this.
No, you're good, bud.
this wizard.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, brother.
In Washington, John Husted voted to gut Medicaid, kicking hundreds of thousands of Ohioans off their insurance, and all to pay for tax cuts for billionaires. Tell John Husted, stop fighting for billionaires.
Play a full tabletop fantasy campaign solo whenever you want with me. I run the...
So, I may have made a mistake.
Tom show should hear about it.
Hi everybody, I'm here in my space office. If you're wondering why, long story, and we'll get there when we get there. So, Wizard 101, easily one of the top MMOs when they were swarming entertainment as a whole. A massive online experience with millions of people who have played within it. Not me though. Now prior to this entire video, I typically made video polls determining what video topics I would cover in the following months. In December of 2023, I made a poll with Toontown, Neopets, Space Chimps, and Wizard 101, and just narrowly, despite all three of the MMO games competing with the same audiences, Wizard 101 was just barely able to outperform Space Chimps and rob it of being the thing I covered. My initial plan was to research, write, record, and edit this video by January of 2024, and that didn't happen. In a moment, I'll explain what exactly went wrong, but until then, I think it's important to introduce the foundation of this universe, as everything following will escalate in importance, and virtually even the smallest of things can come back in this story hours later. Wizard 101 takes place in the Spiral. The Spiral is a collection of anywhere from a few dozen to a few hundred floating islands that coexist on this plane, and to my knowledge have been around for roughly 1,000 years. It's set up in such a way that it's basically a giant planet, because at one point it was. Like, every world here has a corresponding Earth equivalent. For example, one of the locations, Krakatopia, is meant to be an equivalent to Egypt, both in how it looks and its history. And the Spiral wasn't always just a bunch of floating islands. Before the Spiral formed together, there was a single world that we're calling the First World, and it had at least 6 crucial and unbelievably powerful individuals. The first two are Grandmother Raven and Grandfather Spider. The two of them would fall in love, and then also another powerful figure, Bartleby the Grandfather Tree, hung out and used his magic eyes. He can see into the past with his left eye and into the future with his right, trying trying to write down all of history in his head. So in other words, in canon, all of history is preserved from an old guy making mental notes. That's gonna go wrong. Raven and Spider would then create 3 powerful children, the Titans. There's a dragon one, an ice one, and a storm one. Then one day, bad shit just starts happening. The Titans start fighting each other over like the last great value Oreo in the package, and in the other room, Raven and Spider are filing for divorce. But then outside, Uncle Bartleby's like bird watching or something. The divorce is a brutal one, but in the end, Raven gets full custody, and this absolutely destroys Grandfather Spider. He loved Grandmother Raven with all his heart, and losing this relationship quite literally rips his heart out of him, concluding with Raven banishing Grandfather Spider into a void somewhere across the first world, where he's gonna spend a majority of all time in a deep sleep, waiting to come back and destroy anything he can. The Titan children don't take this news too well, and this escalates to the Great Titan War. They start fighting, and eventually gets so bad, all of the first worlds are at risk of being destroyed and lost forever. So Grandmother Raven does a few things in response. First, she works with Bartleby to sing the best lullaby of all time and force all the children to be really sleepy forever and want to do nothing but sleep, because all they do when awake is destroy stuff. We can't have that. And as a result of the Titans and their constant battling, the first world becomes nothing but fragments, and wanting to save the people of first world, if possible, Grandmother Raven and Bartleby sing the Song of Creation. And as such, it weaves all the fragments of the first world into what becomes the spiral. So even though all of them are separated, in their own way, they're still technically connected. Treat it like a super Pangea, but all the continents are separated by space rather than by water. This means you gotta fly to them or use magical doors to travel through each piece of this former planet, meaning that each fragment will develop its own world with its own history and cultures and everything a small planet would, with the main sources of powers being glowing red health orbs and glowing blue mana orbs that the spiral produces and helps keep each separate area alive. The last thing Raven does to assure the spiral can exist is she takes Grandfather Spider's missing heart and makes it the heart of the spiral, so his power is still part of everything and nothing bad will happen. Now Bartleby, being a tree and all, he didn't really have an option on where he was gonna live, so instead Raven decides to have him be somewhat near the heart of the spiral, acting as like a center point where people would come on in and use his magical teleporting doors that are inside him for some reason. Eventually Bartleby will be found by adventurers of the spiral, and a greater society will develop around him. As for the Titans, along with their parents Raven and Spider, well, their locations are going to be revealed in due time, because there sure is a lot in this adventure, so just keep them stuck back in your cranium. We got 6 magical friends we gotta find. For the sake of not making all this too confusing, we're not gonna go chronologically through the timeline. Not only is that near impossible since there's quite literally hundreds of events to go through, but that would require a lot of jumping back and forth between each world, so we need a little more coherency. And as such, I'll go through my playthrough and cover topics when I reach them. The best way to describe this story is as one giant city of history. The entire story itself is the city, but then when you cut it down to districts, they're the same as story arcs, because yes, story arcs are a thing. They should be called sagas, but arcs are fine. Then you cut those down to city blocks, which are the same as each respective world. We're gonna call them worlds, even though they're more like their own world fragments, since yeah, each of them basically evolved their own planets in terms of variety. Then within each of those blocks are numerous buildings full of respective stories and locations and characters that eventually make up said blocks, that eventually make up said districts, that eventually make up the entire city. Like the first world was basically the founding of Spiral City and Mayor Raven and the arrested and formerly beloved Mayor Spider. From here on out, it makes more sense to go from location to location. And the best way for me to do all that is tell you about my experience, my time as a wizard, my own impression. Throughout the first half of 2024, I have given up over 200 hours to play and complete all of Wizard 101. I have committed to this bit more than anyone ever has, and hopefully ever will. To give an idea of how much content this is, other than the fact that this video is as long as it is, this is what the story structure looks like. The sight of this alone physically aged me by 3.5 years. There are 4 major arcs that currently exist in Wizard 101. I went through every main quest available as of June 2024, and then I also did a couple dozen side quests and side worlds. Didn't even have to do most of those, I just did them. Sometimes the side content also happens to have major plot content, so when that happens, I'll add it here. I bet a few of you are wondering why I chose to do the entire campaign, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Mostly because Lil Chupo from 6 months ago said to himself, "Oh, Wizard 101 shouldn't be that hard to make a video on."
What do you mean it's not that bad? It was literally the loudest thing I've ever heard. And I have earplugs in.
I don't think there should be any problems. I wish I could backhand the Chupo I once
Come
was.
on,
Problem
I'll talk.
1.
The king has the key to
The
the
story.
prison in the White
The story is
Tower.
either locked behind vague wikis or this fan-made Google Doc that's 400 pages long, and the pages look like that. And it's not even fully caught up. And I don't even like reading. This means if I relied on these useful yet limited sources to tell you everything, I can't tell you everything the way the Wizard Lord intended. Problem 2. The footage. You can't even get footage of this stuff in a timely manner. There's a few playthroughs of this game online. I contemplated asking the creators for use of their stuff, but each part is like 30 minutes to an hour. And there's so many parts, hundreds of videos that take up hundreds of hours. Maybe if I really hated myself, I would at least attempt it, but I'm more into long walks on the beach and making cartoon characters out of clay. So I thought it would make more sense to just truly step into the shoes of a wizard to play this game I never got the chance to play. And that just leaves us with problem 3. The gameplay. This is my first time surviving Wizard 101. Not only will I need to complete nearly 1,000 mandatory fights in a turn-based arena with battles that can range from a couple minutes to literal hours to beat, but first I'm gonna have to figure out how to actually do it, to become a wizard. This goal meant asking for help from viewers like you to help me for months to beat this game within a manageable time frame. Contrary to popular belief, I have a life. I just had to make Wizard 101 a part of it. Lastly, I need to add this, and I really need to stress this. Pirate 101, even though it's actually part of the Spiral and by technicality is connected to Wizard 101 as they take place in the same time and share many similar characters, is not going to be talked about in extensive detail during this adventure. This was a choice I went back and forth on, but if this project does well, and I mean like really well, and gets like 50k likes or around that range and a bunch of views, I might just consider and contemplate the possibility of making a sequel project including Pirate 101, because this is already a giant thing to research and complete, and I only want to put the time in if there's a demand for it. So just for now, recognize that these games are connected, and only this one is going to be added to the discussion. And after so much time playing and reviewing and compiling everything, I did it. It was a long, arduous journey that in the end somehow ended up coherent, and I think it's important that someone like me goes through this entire saga and makes it even somewhat digestible. I hope you're ready. Buckle up, grab some snackies, unpause your game, do whatever you need to do, and by the end of this, you will know about everything you can find in Wizard 101. Right after this ad.
What a lovely day to make a parody. Isn't that right, Kevin? You said it, Kevin.
Smoogle! Smoogle!
What? What is it?
It's me, the all-new Chupo plush, available on Makeship now!
For a limited time.
It's a little Chupo that you can take home and make your very own. The first official Chupo thing to ever chup the world outside your screen. It's got legs, a hat, even a detachable wand if you're into that. Jars, your bed, the zoo, whatever you want with it. As long as you get it within the next couple weeks on Makeship, it'll be yours to coexist with forever. Links in the description and the... Papa Louie, did you hear the news?
I do not care.
Greetings, heroes. Last time we had the start of our early access campaign right here at the THQ Nordic Showcase. This year, we are back with some significant updates as we reach the next stage in our journey. Many of our players have been eagerly expecting the Spirit Mastery and the summoner gameplay that
The entire saga of Wizard 101 starts up with little to no prologue. One Tuesday afternoon, I was chosen and taken from my lovely little home of Earth and plopped onto the Spiral to become a powerful wizard. We have two relatively important characters that are responsible for this abduction / surprise enrollment. We got Merle Ambrose, the headmaster of the wizard school and essentially mentor figure I'll have throughout this. There's also Gamma the Owl, who will occasionally notify you about stuff, and he's only important like twice. You think that's not a lot, but trust me, some major characters are never important. The tutorial is where we get introduced to a lot of things, and if this is your first time playing it, like it was mine, you'd be just like the player character, where you're dazed, confused, probably overwhelmed by all this new stuff. Ambrose runs the Ravenwood School of Magical Arts, where people all over the Spiral manage to get here or are found by adventuring staff and are brought here to learn wizarding magic so they can travel through the worlds as well and help anyone in need. Ambrose selected me specifically to become a student, and immediately it's time to put on that friggin' sorting hat and pick a house. Here's where debatably the most important decision of this run is gonna happen. Through a silly baby Pokemon mystery dungeon type quiz, where we get asked about ourselves in a bunch of ways, in the end, the quiz will give you a magic school that you'll be stuck with forever. There's 7 classes in Wizard 101, and I was unaware of my pros and cons until it was too late. Of the 7 classes, Ice Wizards are tanky, they have higher defenses but weaker offense. Fire, Storm, and Myth are the main DPS types with weaker defenses. Balance and Life are more support-oriented, focusing on buffing and healing. And then there's the school I was blessed with, Death. And this is quite literally the best possible starting class. Not only is it the class that can steal health from enemies, making it a considerably helpful class when I'm doing like solo runs or trying to keep myself alive, but the logo's also a skull, and that's pretty badass. Now this is Malistaire, the main villain of Arc 1 and the former Death Professor, until he got real mad and quit his job, so now he's an evil man. Due to our connection, Death Wizards unfortunately have a bit of discrimination going on within the story. Within like 5 minutes of arriving, he's already trying to assassinate Ambrose, only to change his mind despite being significantly stronger than my level 1 baby wizard man. Malistaire then runs away. From vibes alone, Ambrose can tell we seem chill and automatically moves us up from our orientation past any school lectures straight on to field wizardry, which you're not supposed to do until like a semester in. Now our job as a wizard is to hone our magic and protect the Spiral and everyone and everything within it, and this includes Wizard City. So Ambrose goes, "Hey amigo, Malistaire brought some uncool dudes down to Unicorn Way. Can you like break their legs and stuff?" Yes, I can. But before we embark on this starting mission, and thus the entirety of this journey, I need to introduce my lovable little wizard identity, so nobody would know I'm moderately famous YouTube funny man Chupo. I went with the most Harry Potter-ish, Hunger Games divergent young adult novel type that I could possibly concoct. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Finnegan Jackalboots, and someday he's gonna save the universe. At Unicorn Way, our goal is to free corrupted fairies and generally stop all the darkness. And even though I'm a day 1 wizard with about 15 minutes of experience, Finnegan Jackalboots is already on the top of his class. Like, some classmates already prove I'm the only competent one, some people just gave up on the starting fight, and he's supposed to be at our level. This is a hilariously reoccurring thing. Very few classmates, or people in general, are going to be useful. At the end of this battle for Unicorn Way, a skeleton gets beaten up who drops a tome. After talking to an anthropomorphic dog named Harold Argleston, and I hope you had as much whiplash as I did reading that off, we discovered the most important info dump so far in the whole wacky wizarding world. Malistaire is bad and evil, and that's no good. We need to stop that. But in actuality, he's looking for a group called the Order of the Fang. Allegedly, that's not good, so we gotta find them first. Now, I already know this has been a stressful first day of school, but now it's time to meet the professors. Mr. Lincoln registers us as a student. He's basically useless after this. I actually don't mention him from this point on. Halston Balestorm teaches Storm. Lydia Greyrose teaches Ice. Dahlia Falmia Fire. Mulinda Wu Life. The Talking Dog Balance. Cyrus Drake Myth, remember this one. And the Death Professor Malorn Ashthorn. He's more like a substitute and intern for the time being because, you know, these are characters who may or may not be relevant later, but that's a secret. I'm not gonna tell you. You gotta wait. You gotta wait. You gotta wait. Now, Ravenwood is honestly a pretty lovely campus. Each school has a nice symmetric building, and as I made my way to the death school, ready to learn about death and stuff.
All right, bye. The neighbors are complaining about the crop tops.
Oh, that's was it, Doreen? Oh, she's just bored.
3, 2, 1.
We are older now, but also younger than we'll ever be. I'm not actually having sex with you, okay?
Oh, my love! Having sex with love!
These guys are my other friend group.
I can handle them.
You can't.
Dude, I hate
She the best. She the best when she moves.
You think you're the first ones to be young and adorable in New York?
When I hook up with someone, it's quicksand. My friendships, neglected. My mother, a mere rumor.
Where's the death school? Guess what, goobers? It's time for some Wizard 101 101. The entirety of Ravenwood's formation is pretty well documented, including how each professor got hired to teach. So, one day Ambrose was traveling around the spiral until he was the one who discovered Bartleby, smoking on like an imaginary cigarette or something. Then Ambrose makes the neato decisionato to establish Ravenwood all around Bartleby. While this is happening, Malistaire was probably born and can be found living on another distant part of the spiral called Dragonspire. On Dragonspire, he lives as part of the House of Drake with his dad Vladin Drake and his brother, the current myth professor of Ravenwood, Cyrus Drake. Whoa! They're related? How could you tell? I mean, he's wearing black and he's wearing neon yellow. It's completely different. I should also note that one fun thing I learned very early on is that even if something barely seems to be impactful in the slightest, it has the potential to come back eventually. When I was at this point, there was a Doctor Who knockoff who I could have gone on a quest with, decided against it, and moved on my merry way. Well, it turns out that this dog was part of a
Wonderful! Just show this royal order to the guards. They'll let you pass and enter the breach.
No, he's talking about some real crimes that he committed. TOS, I'm now streaming his live now. I'll stream it so you can report him twice.
You show the guards the royal seal. They let you pass through the breach, and you should look for any clues to the whereabouts.
Thank goodness you've...
Yo, where's my porn star friend? Where's my Sierra Mist, dude? I didn't go out without you. You didn't want to go. You didn't want to come back. Yo, kind of sus that you'd come for a guy. You're on page 6. You just mentioned it though. That is pretty sad, dude. Could never be me. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna get above gas just to piss him off. Is it? Is it not? What school are you? No. What school are you, Gas? What's your is your ice, right? I can definitely out farm an ice. Yeah, but where's your storm at? Where's your storm at? Is it on page 6? I don't think so. Yeah. I stopped playing. That's the difference. You kept playing and you got put down. I stopped. You kept playing and you kept getting down, beaten down. Bro's mad at me because he kept playing and still couldn't rise above. All right, I stopped. One v one me on your Sierra Mist, come on. We're the same level. No, I'm level 15, but how would you win with Arch Mastery on a balance? What arch spell are you gonna do?
Good work, you king for.
Not for Shared Bank. Shared Bank's set at 100.
Those. Good job. These head.
Alright, I'm gonna go max out my character with a different person so that I can beat Gas. Bro, you got your portal stuff doing it. Don't worry about it. Because this is my main character now. No! You're not though right there. I'm here now. Well, I'll give you 2 hints about Gas. 1, he is. 2, he is. Wasn't that convincing? Wasn't that so convincing? Wasn't him going, no, I'm not. Was that convincing? I've seen better acting in Sierra Miss's real life porn videos.
No more. The Crab King is held beyond the Alcazar, in the depths of the Wailing Cavern.
The Wailing Cavern? Well, clearly.
A small
A dark passageway, have you?
You now have a school's worth of glowfish. You should take them to the dark passage by the Alcazar. You release the glowfish and enter the secret passage. You wonder where it leads. You have entered the Wailing Cavern. Now to find the king.
Why, hello! Great to...
Damn. Do you want to quest? Well, could you do side quests then? What do you mean by that? Oh my gosh. What quest? Main story? Main story, I'm going to Croc. I'm thinking about farming. Gross. Damn. Where's the last? Go ahead. Dude, just come back. Just join this Discord. There's like 50 black people. I really just want us to do Grizzleheim dungeon together like we did the one time. Me, you, him, and Jay. Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny.
A super smart science.
I'm doing what you call it? I'm doing water area right now.
Gate. Someone doesn't want you getting.
I'm doing Crab Alley, and then I'm doing Colossus Boulevard.
Electrified.
Yeah. Especially now. Yeah, that was really funny. Why? You're both playing the biggest support school. You're just gonna blade me! You're just...
You have enough telluric eels to try to overload the gate.
Yeah.
This must be the storm chamber.
Wizard.
Yeah. You just don't want to play with me. I think Myth is actually the best, second best school because Shatter. You should make a Myth! That's literally the best. Oh my god. We could fully recreate our group. We just get Jay to make his life. We just fully recreate our group. Ice! It's what he stuck with. Yeah, he stuck with that. His ice is alright. He's 6th page on the leaderboard and it makes me laugh. Yeah, he's got a Discord full of people that he helps. That's true, that's true. Yeah, I can play YouTube videos on my stream now. That wasn't main quest, by the way. We did the side dungeon.
No.
Oh, yeah, that's because he was like forcing me to go with him. And I was like, okay. For him? Yeah, it was like the Athena thing, I think. Yeah, no, his stats were way bigger than like his stats were. Oh, he's not on it. His stats were on the level of like Zeus gear and then level 0. That thing costs 10,000. Oh my gosh, that's so useful though, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna go sell this at the bazaar. Shiba Fools is gonna be... Well, now I'm gonna be able to use it. Shiba Fools is gonna be fucking nice. Cause that's... I can just double blade. I actually don't know what pack it's from. You can buy it with arena tickets. I don't think so. You can buy it with arena tickets. Oh yeah, this is gonna make questing a breeze now, dude. Oh yeah, I'm about to... I mean, actually, I don't know how much fast, to be fair. It could also be slower, because it depends on how fast I get my pips. But... That's how women get abused. What? You're gonna get someone stabbed. You're gonna get some poor person stabbed because you're goading on someone who's crazy. Like goading. As in, so you're like, have you ever seen Star Wars? You know where Palpatine goes, "Do it, do it." That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. That's. I do know. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Yep, I'm hearing. Come on! Just do it. Ooh, I got it. Let's hit him with the Shiba Fools. My first Shiba Fools. Let's hit him. Yeah. Yep. No, I didn't buy an amulet. I bought a ring. All it's gotta have is a tear socket. All I need is a tear socket for the jewel. It took 2 blades. That's perfect timing. It took 2 blades. 682 with 2 blades. No enchant. Yeah, well, my damage is that I have a 12% damage. I don't have a pet. This is from my gear, starter gear. Yeah, I need to farm gold for a pet.
Splendid. Now.
storm batteries look like they have been restored to working order.
There was a time when I was a boy. Yeah, I also was. I was also streaming. I was streaming Gas's stream. Like I was streaming it on my stream, and I was like, "I'm stealing your stream." He said, "Dude, what the fuck?" I said, "I'm stealing it. It's my stream now. I'm stealing it." And then it was just him watching the stream on his own stream, and I went, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "It's gonna start echoing." All right, goodbye forever.
The royal seal, huh?
Bye.
Of course, go right in.
Now I have nothing. Now I have nothing. Hey. Good.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was also stealing Gas's stream. Yeah, because I pulled up his stream on my stream thing, and I was like, "I'm stealing your stream." He said, "No, you're not." And he went on my stream. He's like, "Dude," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm just putting your stream up on my stream." I was also watching a YouTube video. So I was like, I can play a YouTube video while I stream. Just have that play. Can I make it any more obvious? Yeah, most boring arc.
I am undone! To be defeated bravo! The resemblance was uncanny.
Damn, that's a shit ton of XP. I had sausage and eggs and toast. Yeah, my favorite sausage little thing, or I haven't had them in a long time now. They might suck. It's essentially pancake wrapped sausage that Jimmy Dean. Those are pretty good.
You did.
Yeah, Jimmy Dean's stupid expensive. I'll be honest. But yeah, you got increased. Yeah. Damn.
Oh shit!
I'll save that for Ray or Gas to play with for that one, I guess. Yeah, and then Ray was like, "I'm not joining Gas's Discord." And I said, "Ray, we're all in here playing Wiz, dude." And he's like, "I'm not joining Gas Discord." And then Gas is like, "Please, Ray, I'm sorry." And then Ray's like, "I don't care." And I'm like, "Please." Gas originally fucked me over, and it made Ray and Jay mad.
You're back.
We were farming for something, and we told him, we're like, dude, all we want you to do is just spam Legion Shield, and he didn't, and then he one-hit our Feint, which essentially is like if someone were to damage boost you as Torb, and you just switch to your hammer and start hitting, or like that's like good analogy, or like okay, a Feint is more like this. Imagine Anna ulting Torb, and then Torb switches to his hammer instead of ulting. That's essentially what he did by wand hitting. Yeah. You're working a full shift tomorrow, as far as you know?
Hello.
Well, I think we're getting past the...
Hello.
Yeah, when do I get my day off? That's all I want to know. Yeah. I better get it all off, dude. I've been fucking... You know, now that I'm doing this, why don't I just do that? Did I get to it? No, damn. Damn, bro. And then Gas was like, dude, don't quest on your guy. I was like, this is going to be my new main guy. I'm just leveling up. And he's like, no, don't quest on. I want to quest with you. And I was like, okay, you can't though, because you have your whole, you just set up a whole guild thing for you and your friends to like, go do it. And he was like, ah, and I was like, just wait. And I was like, no. I'm pretty sure Ray was gonna do the same thing, where he's like, wait. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to quest. It would be cool. I don't care. I would quest with them. I don't care. It's like, brother, I'll go back, but I'm not waiting. We mow it, oh we mow it.
Hello? Hello? Do you hear me? Oh, good! The badge is working. Orange reading. Pectron concentrations there are average. Good! Come back to Ravenwood.
You're still living in the... You should go and speak to... Buxley's in the shopping district. His shop is next to Alex Edge.
Well... Today's assignment is to get a reading by visiting this location. Good luck.
I've got the magic in me. Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold. Bruh, I didn't get it. Well, time to pass. Bro just cast an accuracy for a blade. I'm hitting him with the nice spell. I'm hitting him with nice spell. Well, you put like a 25% accuracy thing on, and then cast a spell that has 100% accuracy. So it's like, I don't know why he would do that.
Your Gravulum badge is giving me a yellow reading. Picron Cons...
What?
You can't do this to me. Do you know how much I sacrificed?
A magic potion? I'll say.
Are you like Skype calling someone? What is that sound in your background? Oh, it did. You know what the Skype call sounds like? That's what it sounds like. It's the. It's like a. Dude, I don't know how to describe it. But that's what I hear in your background. I don't know if that's your fan. That's a crazy sounding fan. Cause all I hear like the hold up. Skype call sound effect. That you hear it? Did you hear that? The do do
Here's the first batch of potion, young wizard. While I'm making more, go beat some gobblers in combat
the fuck is
and
that?
make them drink the stinkweed potion.
1 hour of silence interrupted by Pikmin. Yeah, I'm also streaming on YouTube, but the thing is I can't look at YouTube chat and Twitch chat, so I just not looking at. But that also means I get it recorded and saved.
All done?
Hi.
Impressive. Thank goodness someone found those.
Are you like somebody? Are you somebody's bitch in Ark? You said you're in a guild, though, right? Yeah, but are they making you farm stuff? I was looking at Pal World, and there are some custom servers, but we'd have to see if it would be stable. Well, stable. Because there's PvP ones.
Ah,
Working hard at your training, I see. I have a new spell for you. Come see me.
If they truly did fix the monsters coming out, it actually would probably not be that annoying. Like me. Yeah. But I'm still. I get the other part of me is also I'm not really in the mood at all, too. We got almost to the end. I have that world saved. It's fine. It'll just sit. Unless they do an update. Unless they do an update where they're like, yeah, we killed it. You have to restart. And I'd be like, oh my god. I actually would be mad. Well, I guess if we restart at that point, I'd be like, alright, we're full XPing this, we're rushing this shit. Put all your monsters in, we're rushing. No, I'd be like, we upload and we're just going, is what I'd say. Like, we mean, like, the next world, like, we're like, just put everything quick, we're killing bosses, I don't give a fuck. Because right now, we're done, like, we're just making perfect.
With those snowmen gone. Ah!
Ah, my barrel of sugar. Just imagine if the gobblers had gotten hold of this. Thank you so much.
Welcome! You look like a wizard of means. Can I interest you in an exciting new castle home?
You'll have to get past me if you want to see the king. or
The Gobbler King wants us.
Yeah, they also updated Wizard 101, so you get like a bunch more XP for Arc 1, and that makes me laugh. Because the reason they did it was because nobody does side quests, and the original Arc 1 was like a long time ago, and the reason that it didn't give you that much XP was because they expected you to do every quest, including side quests, to max out to level 50. So they're like, alright, we'll just up all the XP, and I'm like, I'm still doing my side quest. I'm still doing my side quest, dude. Did you see that flocks are getting absolutely demolished all over? And it makes me laugh so hard. Well, it's people making videos. It's people making videos where they're like, guys, it is absolutely illegal to cut down a flock camera, especially if you were to do it at a 45-degree angle with a diamond saw. And I'm like, holy shit, these fucking mad lads, dude. And he goes, this is a step-by-step video of what not to do so you don't accidentally cut a flock camera pole. You definitely don't want to go in there with a black hoodie on, black pants, everything black, so that you and your compatriots are not like shown from any angle. It's so funny. It makes me laugh too because like, if I were to go to a police station, right, and I were to start filming license plates of the police station cars, the police are going to stop me and try to detain me, even though it's perfectly legal. And they're trying to do the same thing to us, be like, dude, what's the matter? If you got nothing to hide, there's no point. And I'm like, guys, it's because it's fucking weird. It's weird to get a summons from court. I was like, we saw you went into town 5 times. And it just so happens that on that 5th time, somebody got robbed. And since you normally take this route and you took this route, now we think that you are the suspect. We're trying to stop kidnappings. Oh, really? Can you name the kid you saved? Here's all I'm gonna say, dude. Anytime someone's ever been kidnapped, they pass a regular store camera that isn't easily accessible by governmental like agencies. So like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, it doesn't increase. I feel like it's not like it can stop them from getting like. We get an Amber Alert all the time. It's like, oh, blue car with this license plate stole a kid. Like, okay, that's no different. Yeah, if you're a supporter of Flock, you should probably just, like, go ahead and register, brother. Yeah, I went to get gas today, and it was under $4, and I went, okay, I'm grabbing it. What do you do?
Is it time for dinner yet? You look like you'd make a good stew. Get over here. You've come to take away my treats? I can't allow that. To battle!
There's 5 of these time travel events. One of them's for Pirate 101, we can skip that one. 3 of them will make a bit more sense when we get there, and the last one follows a young Malistaire and Cyrus. Wizard 101 has this bad habit of only telling you fragments of backstory, and then backtracking, making you go forward, back again, all that stuff, making you puzzle piece everything together at the end, in part so the community could speculate when the story was unfinished. And I don't really care for that, so Malistaire's entire backstory is gonna be presented here at once so we can move on. Malistaire and Cyrus are having a jolly old time in Dragonspire. Malistaire has a lover and eventual wife, Sylvia Drake, that he loved dearly, and all 3 of them hung out and probably ate from Hez dispensers in their free time, I would guess. In all the time travel adventure, the time traveling dog, who we're gonna call the Professor, is dealing with his nemesis Maestro, wrecking the timeline just because he can. In this specific instance, he's trying to make everyone hate each other. Sylvia and Malistaire at this point are engaged. They're about to get married, and Maestro, magically out of boredom, choosing to cuck Malistaire, mind controls Sylvia, and being emotionally distraught, he then has an emo phase, quits magic, and begins to seek the meaning of life. Meanwhile, Cyrus is becoming a painter. Both of these brothers are considered failures. The professor and his time-traveling companions convince the two brothers to not do the things they're doing. They need to get their magic equipment back from the lore master. That should be Mia, actually. Doesn't matter, she gets a smartphone, and then it's revealed Maestro's mind-controlling Sylvia. So he gets chocolate forced into his mouth, and the timeline is preserved. The eventual war criminal is now back with his fiancée. The trio decide to leave their home of Dragonspire and find peace elsewhere. Sylvia and Malistaire end up in Ravenwood and become the life and death professors respectively, and Cyrus found a passion for myth magic, so he goes on a quest throughout the spiral to learn all of it. Live, laugh, loving all the way to Ravenwood, where he would become the third Drake professor as Malistaire and Sylvia celebrate their marriage. With all the professors together, Ravenwood and Wizard City remain successful and prosperous and happily ever after. So it wasn't. Sylvia starts dying. That's the opposite of what the life professor does. Her disease ends up being terminal. Not even magic healthcare is enough. Ding dong, Sylvia Drake is gone. Ah, nuts, said Malistaire, the scary, pale-looking, droopy facial-haired man. The only person I loved and ever will love has died from a MacGuffin disease. Well, at least her legacy will be praised and respected for everything she's contributed. So Ambrose replaces Sylvia with a cow. This infuriates Malistaire. He goes on a rampage, gets rid of the deaf school privileges, and now there is a second magic school without a building in Ravenwood. For some reason, the balance professors just never got one, I guess. So that's why there's no deaf school, and that's why I need to kill a middle-aged necromancer. He wouldn't have been a problem had he just disappeared forever, but during his return in the tutorial, he stole some books and Bartleby's right eye. So now he can't see the future. Right before that happened, Bartleby told Ambrose to bring me to the spiral, knowing it was my destiny to get rid of Malistaire. And now it's my job to do exactly that. Make sure he stops breathing. Now, the combat of this game is an RPG. We got a limited power source called Pips, and everyone earns at least one per turn. The way to win is usually by casting buff and defense spells until you can get a real tender attack out and win the fights. You can also use pets, and these almost act like Pokemon. Straight up did not care for the pets. I used the same one for the entire run. Wow, that is a lot of info to take in during the starting area. Oh, by the way, you can't forget about fishing and gems and the bazaar and the shops and housing and storage space and currencies and gear upgrades. Oh, by the way, the free trial's over, so now you gotta pay money. Yup! For 10 schmuckos a month, you too can play Wizard 101, unless there's a special event that allows some of the game to be free. To make any progress, I have to drop money for this or crown currency, aka Wizard V-Bucks. And now there's obviously no issue with buying a game, but this is a subscription service, or if you want to buy it all at once, it's like $200 to $300, and this is an instant turnoff for a lot of people, including me. In my honest opinion, I don't think the game gives you enough time to see if the purchase is truly worth it. I think at minimum, all of Wizard City should be entirely free, because I think the game gets significantly more interesting in terms of combat after they set this point up. If you want to know what you're doing, to give an idea, only about 15 minutes of this game is free. That translates to, like, I want to say at most 0.5% of everything Wizard 101 offers, and that sucks. Guess who spent $100 real-world dollars to get a bunch of crowns and then bought a monthly membership? This guy. Hello, credit card debt. But keep in mind though, the free part is designed for you to mentally cram all the mechanics in that I just went over, and then it hits you, a clueless child who mentally just shut down trying to be a funny wizard, with a paywall. Don't forget, I'm not really the target demographic. This game is designed for all ages, but this alone made me feel like an elderly person learning about what an iPad was. With everyone else already being so much further ahead than me, it was overwhelming. But hey, elderly people have lots of money for their retirement, so I can just pay to win. So I bought some crowns, the rare currency of the game, you know, kept them just in case I got bored. I also bought a wolf friend because he looked cool, and it was kind of degrading seeing everyone else having cool rides, going everywhere at faster speeds while I was walking. Ew. Then Ambrose tells me to talk to Sergeant Muldoon to help the rest of Wizard City under the same Panic Unicorn way was. Muldoon gives us 3 places to use our memberships at any order. First, I went to Triton Avenue, struggling with a big storm and dead things frolicking about. In Triton, the Harvest Lord's eating souls, and this little asshole kid named Duncan thinks Malistaire's not a bad guy. Seriously, what is this kid's problem? I can see why deaf students don't have a real professor right now. I'm glad you're not going to be plot relevant. After this, I hate you. I'm sure you look so cool bragging about Malistaire with all your deaf friends at deaf school. Oh, wait! We don't have that anymore! Also, it turns out there's some propaganda going on. The professors seem to be lying about Malistaire being alive or not. Like, we know he's still here, but apparently the entire student body just doesn't. It's not like they deserve to know. I'm overqualified to do this. Suddenly, the much nicer Storm Kid asks me to beat up the Harvest Lord and save his sisters, so I do that out of kindness. I'm much more inclined to help if people use manners. Next in Cyclops Lane, there's a Cyclops we gotta beat up after yelling at this one kid. He's kind of a dweeb, not gonna lie. It's important to note here that Cyrus is trying to get me expelled. I'm aware he's related to Malistaire, this is our Snape equivalent. He's kind of just a dick. Myth School's the Slytherin. They reek of stenches. And lastly, we got Firecat Alley. It's just too hot in Firecat Alley, and that needs to stop. There's a witch here. Her name's Greta Darkkettle. Surely this name won't ever be important. Back at Ambrose's little place, we get told a lot of things we already know, mainly that Malistaire's the bad guy. Shut up, Ambrose, you abduct kids. You're stupider than all those other trendy and other sort of popular wizard characters from other pieces of fiction. Have fun in Jupiter, idiot. Anyway, I marched through all of Wizard City and waste so much time losing to enemies that game journalists would laugh at me for failing to. Then I stumble upon a mysterious waterfall, and that leads to a place called Nightshade. And you know what's here? The Death School. It's still around. I actually wasn't expecting this. I just, yeah, here, I guess, yeah. And Malistaire's also here. Oh shit, that's actually, wait, that's not good at all. He's yelling at his former assistant of the Death School before escaping again. Wow, I better tell Ambrose everything we just discovered about this interaction along with the Death School still being around. And the new permanent death professor I'm stuck with is Dworgen. Hi, Dworgen. Okay, bye, Dworgen. Hey, Mr. Ambrose. I found out the Death School and that one guy who works in it that's built like a wrecking ball are hanging out in the bad part of town. Can we move the Death School so all the Death Schoolers don't have to carry pocket knives to their lectures? No. And that was my first day at Wizard School. I skipped a semester's worth of basics, I found the missing staff along with a missing building, and I made a new lifelong nemesis who, if left alone, will destroy everything we could know and love. So then what's Malistaire's goal now? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Essentially, Malistaire is trying to find this thing called the Croconomicon. It controls life and death magic. You can see why an evil, scary death man having the ability to kill things real easily is probably a bad thing. And all we know is that the Order of the Fang is like the main thing preventing Malistaire from finding it. It's important that he doesn't find the Order or the Nomicon, or else like genocide or something is gonna happen. That sounds about right. I mean, look at him. Ambrose, upon the realization that I'm the only capable person of helping him in any capacity, bestows me with an honor even greater than being promoted to a co-leader of a clan. I'll have to go across the spiral and take down Malistaire as he tries to find the Order of the Fang. By entering Bartleby's insides, no, not like that, I'll gain access to quick travel across all the lands to solve any issues I come across. So get ready for real this time, gang. The grand adventure truly begins here, starting at Crocotopia. Did time just stop for like 2 seconds? What the hell even was that? Exiting the world door, I stumble upon Crocotopia. Most of this world takes place within a set of pyramids and temples, but a few areas outside, I have no idea how they made these pyramids, like, all the way up here. There's more areas in Crocotopia. I don't know why this part's floating. It looks cool though. Gameplay-wise, things are starting to get a bit more complex. Again, I don't really think this area should be blocked by a membership, because I really do think the game starts to improve from this point on a gameplay perspective. Originally, this location belonged exclusively to crocodiles, more commonly referred to as crocs, and they pulled in Egypt. Basically replicated all the royalty and culture, but now they're crocodiles. And then one day, they have to leave because of plagues and death. During their time gone, another species called the Manders hunker up in this fine establishment, until the crocodiles come back and secretly also want their shit back. At first they faked being friends, but then they changed their minds. Luckily or unluckily, based on how you look at it, the Order of the Fang, consisting exclusively of crocs, put all of the evil crocodiles into a great sleep. Until some British dogs from another world called Marleybone mosey on in and do a Britain by trying to steal all the trinkets to go in their museums, therefore reawakening all the evil crocodiles, capturing a bunch of Manders as slaves, and declaring war against the dogs. This is where I come in on the brink of war between the European dogs and Egyptian crocodiles. In order to access the Order of the Fang and complete the objective of this area, we're first gonna have to join the Marleybonian. One of them, named Professor Winthrop, tells Finnegan Jackalboots to first beat up this guy named Beatty Narini. Then find a map room. That requires another expedition to find a keystone, but that requires us to beat up some ancient crocs. But that requires us to round up the Marleybones fighting in the temple. Fetch quests, woohoo! Once half a dozen crocs with names I don't feel like pronouncing have been slaughtered, we help the dogs to get the keystone, to get into the map room, to find the Order of the Fang. I'm told, wait dude, hold on, you gotta get the Eye of Croc to use the map specifically designed to find the Order of the Fang. More fetch quests, yeah! But then I do it because this part's kind of forgettable. And then once back into the map room, we make a revolutionary discovery that the Order of the Fang are in this giant structure, but in the ancient structure next to the ancient structure. Even the professor's like, oh, we didn't think about that. We're dogs. How? This is a big place and everything, but are you stupid? So after getting permission from the Marleybonian voyage leader and taking a lovely trip across the space ferry to an already populated area, these are some of the worst archaeologists I've ever seen. Time to say hello to Alhazred, the first Order of the Fang member and an extremely important balance professor. He almost acts like the Isaac Newton of balance magic, as if he simply reiterates stuff that already existed. Alhazred is a member of the Order who was around when the Crocotuts were being naughty, enslaving people and whatnot. So on a journey through the desert to find himself. Don't ask how he got to the other deserts. I don't really see one right now. Alhazred realizes, no, it's the Tuts who are wrong. Then he gets his ragtag group of reptiles to secretly resist. Alhazred practices combining the 3 elemental classes and the 3 spiritual classes, eventually making the balance school. Then using life and death specifically, Alhazred made the Croconomicon that knocked all the crocodiles into a great sleep, which could eventually bring them back, but not just yet. This is stupid important. The Croconomicon has the power to revive and presumably unalive people when used properly, aka life and death stuff I grazed over, meaning that Malistaire is going to use this dangerous artifact to revive his late wife. And that would be fine if only for the fact that by doing this, so much more damage and many more lives could be lost. After a while of learning balance and teaching it to wizards, Ambrose invites Alhazred to become a balance professor in Ravenwood, but then he hits him with the nah, I'm gonna be a wrinkly reptile, and gets his top student to do it. So that's why there's a balance professor in Ravenwood. Just a fancy dog with a top hat in the plaza. It feels kind of rude to invite a balance professor and never give them a building because, I mean, yeah, why would you do that? So now I gotta bring the buds back together, reawaken the Order of the Fang members who decided not to sleep when the Crocs first woke up. First up, Shalek the Wise. He's easy to recruit, not really the other ones though. General Koba's more annoying than anything. Once he's revived, he just keeps asking me to get individual parts to forge a new sword for him. Imagine if you never made spaghetti before and your mom told you to go to the grocery store to get noodles, and then once you get back, she tells you to go back to get sauce, and then you keep going back and forth to get each respective ingredient only to make the food yourself. He sees nothing wrong with doing this. Kai Amate is in the Grand Arena with moderate amnesia. To access him, we need to prove our own worth by fighting other enemies and satisfying the Arena Master. I think he's announcing all the fights to a giant audience of nothing. It's as funny as it is sad. After waking up from years of nap time, his first decision is to pretend he has an audience. Every time there's a new enemy, he hypes him up, and once I take him down, he just goes, no, that guy's a bazillion times better. I tricked you.
Bro, you good?
He's the best character in Croctopia. Eventually, I punch the warrior man so hard he remembers how to be a good friend. His decades of fighting lost to my week of being a wizard student. And lastly, Crocotep, the third guy, he's a traitor. He's an evil man who loves slavery and being evil, so he's gotta go. The Order of the Fang recruits me as a new member, as Crocotep is justifiably out of the super secret clubhouse. It's not even hidden. There's a ladder. Alhazred makes the intelligent decision to split up so we can get multiple things done. While everyone else will continue to fight the Tuts off screen, they might be lying. I would not be shocked if they're lying. I need to go by myself to the final building and retrieve the Croconomicon, which is the thing we were already trying to do. Time to go to the final building, the Tomb of Storms. It turns out Crocotep was just being brainwashed by Crocopatra. He's a ghost now because I killed him, but now he's our friend. By the way, it's really inconsistent when a fight in this game is to the death or not. Sometimes enemies will perish, other times they'll just be kept here injured. So for the sake of this, assume that every fight, unless specified otherwise, like with Crocotep, is not to the death. That way, each character can come back if their spirits aren't deliberately shown. Along with that, this is more of a take. These fights are implied to be more exciting. Like, I know everyone's standing around, but in reality, these fights are probably closer to the animated commercials with like very minimal waiting. So the final enemy, Crocopatra, is forcing the souls of the Crocs to do her bidding and take over. Supposedly, she has the Nomicon, so that's why all this stuff is happening, but no, she doesn't have it. Not only is it better revealed that Malistaire was the one who woke up everyone with the Nomicon, but the Croconomicon is in the sarcophagus of the souls. This is a new important MacGuffin, but where's it at? Well, it turns out, according to the useless dogs I already don't like, they shipped it directly to their Royal Museum of Marleybone. So that means we gotta head on over to Marleybone. When arriving through the world door of Marleybone, I came to an important realization other than the dogs having religion. I'm not quite doing this wizard thing right. The combat is starting to ramp up. In order to actually win fights, you gotta rely on buffing yourself and nerfing the enemies with a spell. I don't like thinking, but I have to. And we're in this odd spot where combat is very much at the mercy of RNG. If an attack misses, you lose a spell but keep all the pips. Same for the enemies. And with all the main quest battles being mandatory, in cases where I'm too weak to beat a certain group, I either have to grind, try again with different spells, or believe in the power of friendship and luck. Luckily, this is a multiplayer game. I'm sure you can tell by now, but anyone can join the arena at any time with the exception of dungeons. Only friends can enter at these points. This can be extremely annoying when there's like a mandatory amount of enemies I need to beat, because sometimes little Simon from the 4th grade will walk in as my fight is almost done, therefore wasting 5 more minutes of my life. But usually, teamwork makes the dream work. Utilizing other players was by far the best way to get through mandatory fights. Usually people at my own level would intervene, though using this little thing called telling people I'm a YouTuber and you can be in a YouTube video if you're my Wizard 101 friend. This was how I managed to wrangle some pretty powerful people to aid little old me, and in some cases make fights I was gonna lose magically transform into easy wins. Just interacting with the community in general did much more good than harm. At this point on, soloing's not too annoying, but later on some fights are virtually impossible without other people. So between worlds I started buying upgrades, buying cosmetic stuff, getting a little involved with the additional content around me, because obviously the story is what I'm looking at, but all this time exploring and seeing people in Wizard City became comforting at a point. Like, it reminded me of my Club Penguin days. It was a feeling I thought was gone forever. So every once in a while I'd stop at a bazaar, bought some better gear, and would familiarize myself with NPCs like Prospector Zeke, who lives in my backpack and somehow will manage to get to every area before I do. This might be the most powerful person in the spiral. That's not even a bit. I'm dead serious. Anyway, dog time for realsies. Marleybone takes place in a floating London equivalent. A lot of this world takes place on rooftops, but there's also some content in the clock towers, in warehouses, a lab, even a prison. Marleybone is very much the same as Great Britain within the spiral. Lots of wars, British culture, and of course bad accents. Fortunately, one day in their history, they all decided to chill out under a monarchy, and here they innovated their technology, and eventually this guy named Harold Digmore accidentally found out about Wizard City. With Marleybonians being colonizers, as we've seen with Crocotopia, this somehow escalated to a civil war between dogs and cats. A lot of dog violence, some decline, and even chocolate-flavored mustard gas. Eventually the dogs won, and now there's a species-based discrimination across Marleybone. The cats aren't welcome on the main streets. I do not like the Marleybone dogs, but we need to stop Malistaire. The citizens of Dog City respond by making their problems that can be solved at any time, my problems that I need to solve immediately. The moment I go to the museum, I'm not allowed to see the sarcophagus. Instead of using my wizard rights or talking to a wizard teacher who could easily solve this issue, I have to ask the mayor for permission. He says, oh sure, you can see our museum that's immune to magic, so nothing bad can happen to it. But first we have this group called the O'Learys. We got some rotten kitty cats causing a gang uprising across the whole city. Did you make that not happen? Yeah, okay. Time to talk to Sherlock Bones. This is a detective dog, funny pun, virtually useless. Through him, we're told that this cat named Baxter is on the anti-Marleybone side and wants to help us out. We need to retrieve him in order for him to spill the tea. Unfortunately, the cat goons know he's about to snitch, so he's trapped there for the time being. This results in me having to kill an individual named Timmy Icepig to retrieve the hostage. And Baxter gets rescued and reveals his vital information. The bad cats are bad, and they need to stop the- stop. Why are you the way that you are? This was 4 hours of gameplay to rescue you. No, actually, he shares the cat crime families are gonna free infamous cats from prison. More specifically, one of the gang leaders named Pops wants to break out someone from the Marleybone Newgate prison, based on some blueprints Baxter and Sherlock had me retrieve earlier. So I immediately mosey on over to this prison, and because I had to team up with a bulldog named Watson, who looks like he would make kickball sounds if you touched him, along with the fact this prison has horrible architecture, it looks like it belongs in a Mario 64 ROM hack, the crime syndicate's able to free a hairless cat named Meowiarity. And he's no good. He likes Malistaire. He's on the team of Malistaire. That means he's gonna steal the Croconomicon because he doesn't need magic. He's violence. You know what would make this story even more fun? Another character. It's time to meet Jack the Scratcher. What a pesky little guy. He locked himself in a clock tower within this city of like 50 trillion clock towers. This isn't even a bit. There's like 6 major clock towers within like 3 square miles. Jack the Scratcher has been out and about scratching all the dog women living peacefully on the rooftops. I got rid of him, but then there's another evil cat named Dr. Von... Frankenstein, who's also causing mischief by mass-producing robots to cause crime. But at this point, I've skipped over 20 cat bosses. This is just another one going into the criminal cat carcass corner. After brutally preventing the funny doctor from ever existing again, his lab assistant, Grunk, is able to destroy all the operations. Grunk informs me that Meowiardi is hiding in the super clock tower dungeon. It's Big Ben. He's Big Ben. And this requires clearing out all the clock weights because of a failsafe. He had his minions weigh down all the other machinery so no one could get into Big Ben, I guess? That sure is a failsafe. I mean, it worked. It stalled, it worked. And now, after all of that, let's go slaughter this hairless cat. I really haven't talked about it yet, but a few of the areas force me to work alone or with limited resources. Big Ben acts as a big ol' rotten, crusty middle finger to any poor soul playing with like 15 straight floors of fighting on a game in 2008, decently prone to crashing and bugs. Oh boy, I'm sure there were no issues for anyone. Fortunately, through hard work and dedication, I was able to beat all the fights by myself. No one else, just me. I did it. I beat Meowiardi and saved Marleybone. There is no more crime ever in Marleybone, and Sherlock Bones declares me an honorary detective. Oh, wait a second. I forgot to add this. Before I got into the clock tower and started fighting for my life and saving Marleybone and whatnot and doing everything for them, one of the cats was able to actually get the sarcophagus in Croconomicon anyway, giving it to Malistaire right before our final fight. Great! I did not like Marleybone that much. I don't quite like calling content filler unless I fully believe it prolongs the narrative, but like, a lot of Marleybone felt like filler. Not to mention, the combat felt the same as it was in Crocotopia, with just higher numbers, which makes sense considering how much game is left. I wasn't that annoyed about it. Some areas looked cool and held my patience, but god, these dogs used the hell out of me. All I needed was this one thing to save the whole spiral, but the Marleybonians made me solve their crime rates, worsen their problems between dogs and cats, just to give me an honorary detective badge and risk the whole spiral. Like, most of the police just stood around and nobody helped me. I don't know if I should be angrier at the dogs or Britain for this one. Like, which side is responsible for this massive blunder? I don't know, 60-40 is my guess. Thankfully, going back to Ambrose, he informs me, oh yeah, damn, my bad. Just kidding, more bad news. Malistaire has returned to his homeworld of Dragonspire. This is where we need to go now because he's not gonna leave. Instead, he's gonna start on his preparations with the Croconomicon. I'd love to go straight to him, but the issue is that Dragonspire is locked behind a force field, meaning you cannot even sail into Dragonspire unless you happen to have a world key to get in. With the past couple worlds, our Wizard Pass is allowed for quick transportation, but in this case, well, not so much. Ambrose informs me he knows where a key is. It's in Mushu, yet he also requests our aid in a separate world called Grizzleheim. Now, this is the start of a fork in the road. Grizzleheim is optional. You can just entirely ignore Grizzleheim and still complete the main game. I did not ignore Grizzleheim. Just because it's side content doesn't mean there's not still important content. There's the main quest stars in the quest log. We gotta do it. The next two worlds I have to play are Mushu and Dragonspire, and Grizzleheim is designed to be played in between those two if you're underleveled for any reason, with the first few areas asking you to be only level 20 and later ones upwards of 40. I was between the minimum and maximum requirements, so I did hop between this area while doing the other worlds. So for the sake of this, know that I started Grizzleheim first, but I'm gonna cover Mushu first. Right away from personality alone, Mushu is an immediate upgrade from the past two worlds. This was a genuinely very pleasant and fun place to be around. I felt like I was in a Grey Wolf Lodge. Like the rest of the worlds, Mushu is based on a real-world location, this time being feudal Japan, but now it has a bunch of farm animals living within it. Now, Mushu was initially inhabited by dragons. The guy who ended up becoming the first emperor of Mushu, Emperor Ping, managed to create the first empire with a dragon, declaring from this point on that each emperor would be able to use dragon magic. For the next thousands of years, Mushu would prosper. Most of the population would learn magic, and eventually, when discovering the spiral, Mushu would become a crucial trade partner. In the following centuries, everyone would thrive, until at one point, the country's current emperor, Emperor Su Wong, would be captured by the Khitan and Manchu clans, also fighting for Mushu, which in response, the rest of Mushu civilians began to pray to Muda and Mudism. What the hell am I even doing with my life? War happens between all groups. Eventually, the samurai, that's cute, take back the control of the country, and Mushu officials start making books that told everyone, don't do war anymore, you Nimrods. And then another new emperor, Emperor Mushu, stopped the evil clans from eviling and restricted who could leave and come back from the spiral based on how many cool points they had or something, thus limiting international trade. Years later, the modern-day ruler, Emperor Yoshihito, existed, and he and Merle go way back. So after Sylvia died, Merle was looking for a new life professor. So Yoshihito got his apprentice, Mulinda Wu, to become a life professor at Ravenwood. I'm sure it was awkward replacing the wife of a mean, scary death professor, hellbent on killing everything that he hates, probably definitely including the person who took his late wife's teaching job, but hey, funny cows! Shortly before my arrival, Malistaire showed up to Emperor Yoshihito, chilling at his home in the Jade Palace. Malistaire goes up to him and he says, hey there, mister, give me back the spiral key to Dragonspire. I don't have one, and because of that, I can't go back to Dragonspire, which, reminder to the folks at home, is my hometown and where I will be doing evil things with the Croconomicon that I have acquired for the sake of resurrecting the deceased love of my life, along with partake in doing terrible things to mostly innocent people for simply being associated with people who I'm not friends with anymore because they replaced said deceased wife with a farm animal that you provided to them that greatly upsets me, and therefore I have a very bad connection with you and I would like my thing back. Can I have my thing back, please? No. Malistaire then puts Yoshihito into a coma, and since the bad creatures of the land have returned from the shadows for more ha-has, this forces the land back into Dark Ages. Finnegan Jaggleboots makes his arrival, and Finnegan Jaggleboots can't help the Emperor until Finnegan Jaggleboots passes the mind, body, and spirit test. So he does that. In order to progress further in this adventure, we need to help Emperor Yoshihito so he can get us the final key and let us into Dragonspire. If Yoshihito does not survive the spell Malistaire put him under, the mission will be a failure. So for the time being, our main priority is reviving Emperor Yoshihito to get that key back and finally confront Malistaire and provide him with a stern talking to death. This requires going across Mushu and for the third world in a row, clearing out every major problem that's been caused since the plot demanded it. In this case, the enemy clans like Warlord Katsumori's been taking over the land. For example, while there was an absolute rager of a festival in one of the towns, all of their weapons got stolen. Whoops! Time for a nationwide war effort. Lots of prepping for battles that we never see, and in the same old. Lots of traveling, lots of carrying every other NPC. I am the best samurai there ever was. Violence, beating up horses and ninja pigs, and making progress to save Emperor Yoshihito. I need to disinfect the polluted waters, rip off the flesh from the deceased in hopes of creating vaccines, and retrieve a fruit from the Tree of Life. If all of these are taken care of, there should be no issue with reviving the Emperor. The problem is that each area is guarded by some Onis, giant elephants that are preventing me from the very specific exact thing I gotta do. You know what that means? Spending a couple more hours in the same combat loop. I was underleveled, but damn it, this is the perfect game to turn off my brain and watch Crunchyroll on. So I just kept hitting my head on a brick wall, hoping it broke instead of just going around it. There are 4 Onis. The War Oni possess some of the Emperor's warriors, causing internal conflicts. The Plague Oni is pouring chemicals into the water, and not even Buddha can stop it. And then the Death Oni is straight up just torturing innocent dead people, which in my opinion is a dick move. They already died. Why this is unnecessary. Truthfully, all of Mushu boils down to soloing all the evils of magic Japanese anthropomorphic farm animals. Like, despite allegedly the entire country being in support of us, they don't do anything, and it hurts my feelings. The final item I needed before saving the Emperor was the fruit from the Tree of Life, and the tree is wilting, and that wilting needs to wilt. This requires making the corrupted dead double-die to death, leading to a face-off with the Death Oni, and eventually reviving the tree to its proper glory, truly letting both the citizens and spirits of the land alike return to normalcy. And after voyaging across the entire country, it's finally time to save Emperor Yoshihito's life. Oh look, some fellow wizards are joining me for this final mission. Oh look, the final of the 4 Onis, the Jade Oni. He's challenging us to a mighty battle. Gee willikers, 6,000 health? This is gonna be a big battle, but I think we can pull this one through as long as we— One of the people I was with was overleveled and one-shot him, so Mushu's done. Yep. I'm not complaining though, that was a cool attempt. Another date has been saved. Another soul is grateful for Finnegan Jaggleboots. Emperor Yoshihito thanks us with a key to Dragonspire. I don't know why Malistaire didn't just steal all the keys and prevent any additional access. He would have easily guaranteed victory. Malistaire and the Chipmunks, you had the opportunity. You blew it. Your demise will be your own fault. Back at the spiral, I start prepping my voyage to Dragonspire, doing the routine I've become extremely familiar with at this point. This time, I've spent a little more time at the death school. I still think it's ridiculous that they haven't relocated the building. But hey, Dworgen's pretty cool. He's become the new death professor, and despite being rounder than a Timbit when it comes to teaching about death magic, I'd say he's pretty sharp. In this place called Darkmoor, Dworgen lived as the assistant of Dr. Finkelstein, and in his spare time, he read comics about a necromancer named Jamie Skinner until his shitty dad threw him off the bridge into some water. Dworgen then fails his evil assistant exams and gains a lot of self-doubt. The time-traveling dog shows up for a bit, pats him on the back, and his dad just goes, "All right, Bucko, I got a gig for you, but it's not at this horrible, dark, scary, spooky place. It's just Wizard City where it's lovely and everyone's gonna be nice to you." Darn. So then he gets a job at the death school. Malistaire becomes his owner, but not in like the slavery way like the salamanders were, just like a dickish manager to intern type. One day, Milky Dud Malistaire's yelling at a child and being like, "Ah, you suck. I bet my death assistant could be a better necromancer." And as a joke, he taught Dworgen death magic until they found out that Dworgen was actually just like a natural at being a wizard. So for the next 4 years, he was also learning how to do the magic. Until Sylvia died, yada yada yada, no more death school. He was still in it. He was simply rotting in the scary back streets until I showed up and accidentally got him promoted. But Ambrose either forgot that he hired Dworgen, or there was such a miscommunication because neither party questioned where the other was. You know, I completely forgot to mention this, but it's entirely possible that Malistaire tore out the death school as he was like returning to get Bartleby's eye. I don't know why he would waste time doing that, but he also could have done that. But with Dworgen, I understand why lectures are terrible. Most of his side quests are probably the worst this game gets. For example, one of them was a side quest where I had to fight this guy Freddy 9 lives, and you have to fight him 9 times to get a bad spell I almost never use. Oh shit, I can talk about Grizzleheim now. As a reminder, Grizzle is an entirely optional world supposed to happen anywhere before Mushu at the earliest and after Dragonspire at the latest, so I'm meeting in the middle. This story, as a result, is done in several bursts with several short stories that does connect in the end. Later on, there's going to be a sequel world called Wintertusk, but for the sake of my quest, know that it's much later on. It's going to be saved when I actually did it. Grizzleheim is what happened if bears were the dominant species of Norse mythology. I know I said this earlier, but Grizzleheim especially feels like a Great Wolf Lodge. When I was still figuring out the game, I stumbled upon this world all the way back when I was level 6 in Wizard City as part of a side quest. I saw a bear, said to myself, "Hell yeah, that's a bear." And I did this little side quest, eventually stumbling here. "Wow," I exclaimed to myself, like I always do, like everyone knows I do it. "This place is pretty different. I wonder what sort of adventures lie ahead." Nick Jonas? What's Nick Jonas of Jonas Brother fame doing here? Well, Nick Jonas, and only him, not the other two, made some of the music for this game, namely in that so-called Wintertusk. Suddenly, the motivation to find Nick Jonas at Wintertusk fueled my little heart like it was the furnace of a steam train made of fleshy flesh meat. We will meet again, I hope. But not until we go over this world in a little bit of Wizard 101. The history of the Grizzle Hizzle for Shizzle Mike and Prizzle. One day, there was a thing called the Grendels. Now, the Grendels were gross and ugly and everyone wanted them dead. So Mother Grendel declared that no one was allowed to harm her Grendlings. And everyone made this agreement as an oath, except for the spiders. As such, the spiders can still harm the Grendels, and otherwise you can only harm a Grendel when they're young. The older they get, the more invincible they get from this oath. The only way you can stop them otherwise is with spider magic. And also, there's Grizzleheim's Chief King people. They're like the Black Panther, but bears. It's like they fight each other to become the leading bear. They beat up the Grendels. There's a bunch of goblin thingies versus Viking bears. The latter actually lose. Long story short, Grizzleheim's gone to shit, just like every other world. Along with that, Grizzleheim also includes ravens and wolf tribes, with boars also being there, like an invasive group that came from a different world. There's boars in Mushu and probably some other places. The boars are bad. They also must be dealt with. That's where I come in, stumbling through the world door, infecting the world with my presence. Within minutes, I befriend the merchants and successfully negotiate trade with this world and Wizard City. Then Ambrose warns of there being danger, so we need to talk to the king. In order to do that, I must become a brave warrior. I think you know where this is going. Lots of smaller questing that accumulates to me eventually making something of myself. Wizarding has become my 9 to 5. It's time to save the forest, all while getting mostly bad gear and little to no experience. Did I mention this location is very bad for grinding? It is entirely literally just to have more wizard content. You get like 2 levels throughout all of this. Most worlds you get like 10. I entered the woods and went on a journey to get a sword embedded with spider venom. This gives the chance to actually unexist the Grendels roaming around the land. Also, lots of boar violence. I'm very good at reducing populations because my wizard kidnapper teacher man encouraged me to. Still not enough though. Gotta make my way to another part of the land to protect Andor's Holt and a village that's being attacked by a traitor known as the Red Claw, including this one guy named Ivar. He's especially a traitor. I have 20 hours of footage. It'll be really embarrassing if I forgot to record this guy. Part of this portion requires me encountering Bullthorn the Grendel. That sounds like a Swedish Sonic character. He's willing to help and tells of an Eye of Truth, as that should be able to get me out of the land. I am slowly losing my patience. To obtain this funny artifact, I gotta go to Red Claw's super secret base, and somehow, someway, I was able to sabotage them by asking to join their clan, destroy their stuff, rinse and repeat, and that is the end of an uprising. Oh, and guess what? That evil bear Ivar? He's actually just a raven, not even an Ivar. This is when it's revealed the ravens are the ones bringing all the conflict across the land in order to achieve an eternal winter. Why are they doing this? Yeah, I mean, they are. I guess they just like it cold. Totally unrelated, but now the wolves are mad simply because of the ravens. Fighting ensues and another species uprising. Ivar was taken hostage by the wolves, therefore allowing the ravens to cause internal conflict for the bears of Grizzleheim. This wolf named Wolfric tells us those filthy ravens trapped the wolves to make this massive miscommunication. Beat up the confused wolves, rescue Ivar. The king is grateful. He rewards us with another chance to fight the No, they're overleveled. I'm gonna lose this fight. Okay, now we're done. The king apologizes for scaring me like that and blames the ravens. It is now time to stop the ravens with kindness. Because if that eternal winter thing they want happens, that's gonna lead to just cold forever. Eternal famine, or at least that's what their Tower of Lore says. Contrary to the title, not that much lore. According to the Raven Coven, who's like this strong warlock raven, they want to take all the magic of the world and force the cold. That seems like a thing ravens or crows would do. They fail though, because this is a children's game. The good guys will probably always prosper. No more Grendels, no more boars, no more ravens. World peace. To celebrate, I learned I can buy a house. And so, I spent 10 real-world US dollars on a virtual treehouse. One that all my friends can hang out in. No one came to my birthday this year. You've been alive for too long. Our goal in Dragonspire is simple. I am going to kill Malistaire Drake. Formerly based on Italy and more specifically Pompeii, everything in Dragonspire is sad and destroyed. Within only a few years, nearly every living thing has either escaped or died from this place. The only reason we knew that this is a recent thing is the fact we saw the younger Cyrus and Malistaire living on there, and it was purely coincidence that both of them were out of town as it was obliterated. In addition, Malistaire's holding Sylvia's spirit as a wraith, meaning that she can't move on to a better place and is instead forced to roam this abandoned city until her revival. And this also has to be dealt with. Two very important things to note before discussing the history of this world. One, this is very much a military state of the spiral. As such, eternal conflicts bleed from every orifice possible. This is why getting in or out is such a challenge. The population was never able to fully relax, leading to a rather violent history, and much of this world is me weaving through everything in this world to get all the stuff I need to get to where Malistaire is standing. Secondly, the first of the 3 titans responsible for the destruction of the first world is here. The Dragon Titan sleeps near the top. If it is manually woken up by anyone, the force field around the world will also prohibit anyone from escaping to cause harm to the greater spiral. Initially, Dragonspire existed as a war country in constant fear of these things called drakes. They're basically dragons, not actually dragons though. Even though drakes and dragons are synonyms, there's also dragons, everyone's afraid of them. One day, the Human King Men and Drake Queen Garvania become friends and beat up the dragons. The dragons get so scared they run off and go to Dave & Buster's or something. Big time skip, but one day, this king named Junjin frickin' died without a hair, then forcing a century-long war. Don't worry, all this is off screen. All this info came from in-game history books. There's not gonna be any footage. So just take my word for it. Throughout this century-long war, there was very, very possibly war. One of the war things that could have happened was this guy named Rydal releasing a magic plague, and there was plenty of death until another guy, Duke Sebastian, made him stop that. The result of this was construction of Dragonspire Academy, where the citizens would begin to unify under one general idea of magic for peace, and where the Drake family all went to study pre-Ravenwood, as we saw via the time-traveling boxes event. Also gonna throw this out here, it's kind of assumed the Drakes are like descendants of the dragons. We actually don't know how that works, but that's why their last name is Drake. The academy becomes a big part of the country. One of the kids named Aldered, don't mix him up with Alhazred or Ambrose, they're all different. He overthrows the government, then everyone overthrows him because he sucks as a leader. The Dragonspire Academy Dean was a bad guy. The Dean by the name of Vladimir Darkflame, oh that's for sure a bad guy name. Vlad had a bad case of the Mondays and decided to do this thing we in the industry call kill everybody, trapping all Dragonspire Academy professors who could stop him as he reawakens the Dragon Titan and its army as it slaughters almost all the people there. And truthfully, it's just fortunate no additional harm was done outside of Dragonspire. And the last thing the Dragon Titan will do before going back to sleep is replace all the water streams with lava, truly ruining any chance of bringing this place back in any greater capacity. Upon hearing about the news of their obliterated home, the professors were in shock. "Oh no," said Malistaire. "Almost everyone we've ever known and loved has died while we were at Ravenwood Academy in Wizard City. Don't worry, guys. As long as we stick together, nothing bad will happen. Things are looking up." It's funny how easy it is to forget things sometimes. To use the key, we first need the permission of Cyrus Drake and Ravenwood. Cool 1v1 fight and broken legs. Cyrus will be joining us with unfinished business to finally receive closure. And as such, I got his blessing to snap his stupidly pale brother like a twig. Throughout all this world, Malistaire is going to be doing all kinds of chilling at the top to reawaken the Dragon Titan that killed everyone. As its strength will also be enough to force Sylvia back to life right after the Titan would go on a rampage and burn them to a crisp immediately after. That would give her enough time to divorce him, which is totally justified. First thoughts? Yep, everything here's fallen apart, and there's nothing besides scavengers and spirits. I will say, though, that there is a very apparent difficulty spike. Overall fights have begun to feel significantly more challenging as the health and damage amounts have spiked drastically. So from this point onward, I was thinking to myself, well, if they can team on me, why can't I team on them more often? This quest is a noble one, but it doesn't have to be a lonely one. So through the power of friendship and having a large number next to my name, once again, I converted even more wizards to Chupathism and just began to steamroll all of the annoying fights that will take so much longer. This also made me enjoy the game significantly more. I'm sure you would be shocked that I'm enjoying the multiplayer aspect in an MMO, which is short for Massively Multiplayer Online Game. I think the multiplayer aspect would be quite nice. I'd like to treasure curb-stomping Malistaire as a group memory. And I think it's a good call. If I have to fight an army, why can't I have my own army? And if nobody helped me, I would probably give up. Like that's not even a bit. Like, I would be done. There's not enough here. I don't think I could do this by myself. Upon entry through the world door, Cyrus warns us that his brother will be able to sense our presence unless, say it with me now, go around each and every part of the world to improve the quality of life since nobody can do it themselves. This time, they actually can't. They're all ghosts. Thanks for that, by the way. So that means progressively gaining the trust of a bunch of powerful and important people that once roamed Dragonspire just to enter the tippy top of the city, which also happens to be the most challenging location to actually get into. Talking to the former head librarian of Dragonspire, he brings up the knowledge crystals. These are giant things that can help us out on the mission, specifically to present preserved history. That's what the lore master of this place does as well. Why are you here? You've done nothing but cause problems to me. I hope you please go away. Once the stones needed to progress are gathered, I head over to the Stone Keeper and gain his trust so we can go further into Dragonspire via teleportation. And this leads to him revealing that he left the portal piece necessary for progression in a vault located in the Grand Chasm. One problem though, we need a key from the Vault Keeper, and I would argue not being alive puts him out of commission. But what does that mean? More time travel, rather than using the time travel to stop Vladimir, or even just like throw the baby Malistairs off a cliff or something. No, we go back in time to open a safe so we can time travel again and open it from there. Why did we not abuse the fact we permanently have access to time travel? I don't know. Why did we not at least warn the Vault Keeper about his doomed fate? Well, that would be a paradox. That one at least makes sense. With another item acquired, let's go find Sylvia's corpse. pop back into the place Malistair's storing her? I would say it's quite rude how much he's messing with the remains of a loved one. And using the knowledge crystal, she gets captured, and I'm gonna be using her as a hostage, so Malistair has to surrender. I don't even care if he retaliates. I welcome the inevitability of death with open arms and a goodie basket. With one more thing checked off the list, approaching the nearer bits of Dragonspire looms as a growing challenge. Dragonspire designed their academy to be essential to all students, literally making it impossible to get to the center of the world without a student ID. This means I gotta find all the former professors along with Vladimir Darkflame, as he's ultimately the final person who will determine enrollment. Luckily, getting in isn't too hard. Like getting the Drake riding professor and the history professor to approve isn't that bad, mostly because they're bored of being stuck in this lava-ridden purgatory, so any variety of life is ideal. Vladimir's student application process for the academy is pretty lackluster in my opinion. Just waddling around doing a lava Moses like in that one scene in The Incredibles just to get his old things since he couldn't retrieve them because he was in prison. And dead. But anyway, welcome to Dragonspire Academy. Off-screen, Malistair has failed to revive Sylvia on account of the fact we're holding her spirit for the time being, and has decided to use the Croconomicon to revive the Dragon Titan and utilize its power. Why not, right? It's not like reviving the Dragon Titan and having him roam around the entire spiral would destroy everything. I'm sure nothing bad could happen. At the academy, we meet Ashley the Fire Tree and are informed a living drake is going to be needed to fly up to Malistair. This requires a staff made from obsidian and pure crystals in the Crystal Grove. Oh, also, drakes are like super endangered, making this even more fun. Nothing wrong with more fetching adventures, being the whiz dog I am. We get that crystal cut up, get that drake staff, go to the drake hatchery, make a new baby drake specifically for this one flight up to the top, and with all the gear together, it's finally time to end the life of a middle-aged necromancer. The quest to the top is intense. Finnegan, Jackalboots, and his party of warriors all climb to the top, witnessing Malistair doing his evils. My little wizard mind had a flashback to my youth when I was at Great Wolf Lodge. My family had all clocked out for the day after a wonderful experience of going through a water park and doing that magic quest thingy, the thing that once sparked my flame in my heart for wizardry. I was watching the ever-iconic Disney Channel show Wizards of Waverly Place, and as the commercial struck, I watched those beautifully crafted Wizard 101 animations, those battles of a storm and an ice wizard fighting Malistair with everything they had. That was the moment I said to myself I was not going to be an astronaut or a brain surgeon or a mechanical engineer. I was going to be a wizard. The time has come. My time has come. We are going to stop Malistair from reviving the Dragon Titan using the Croconomicon and save the spiral of all his evils. I did it. Malistair Drake, the former death professor of Ravenwood Academy, is dead. For the first time since my arrival to the Spiral, he shows humanity. He regrets, he apologizes, and he reclaims all he wanted was to bring back his lost lover, Sylvia. She comes out of our knowledge crystal and promises Malistair it will be better now. And finally, the two move on to a greater plane. Cyrus thanks us for giving closure and understands it had to be done. Returning to Wizard City, we inform Ambrose of what happened. He is proud of me, like the wizard grandpa I never had. When asked about what I have accomplished, I thought about the journey, the friendships I made, the challenges, the prosperity, and I gave an honest answer. But not until I thought about it even more. Up to this point, following my enrollment in Ravenwood Academy, I had saved the day for at least a week's worth of days. Even though I have only been enrolled as a student for roughly a week, I have already attained multiple semesters worth of knowledge and magic skills. I went too in-depth about the Death School and some of my professors, most of which don't matter in the long run. I have protected the Manders of Crocotopia and brought the land to a more prosperous era. I have done the most I could to improve Marleybone, but that place was already a lost cause, and the less impact they have on the Spiral, the better. I saved Mushu by reviving Emperor Yoshihito from his deathbed, so I guess it really wasn't a deathbed anymore. Grizzleheim went from having a civil war to not doing that. And now they don't like the Ravens. I actually don't really recall Grizzleheim that well. And Dragonspire went from an abandoned wasteland in ruins to an abandoned wasteland in ruins with slightly less ghosts roaming in it. But most of all, I have successfully avenged the Death School. They should probably fill up this patch. It's a bad first impression to new students. Even though death majors are like the business majors of wizardry, they don't deserve this. Finally, I give a proper response. Merle Ambrose, since Wizard City, I've had a Croctopia ton of problems with this evil man. I felt as if I had a Marley bone to pick with him. I'm assure you, this needed to be taken care of before anything dragon spiraled out of control. And I'm glad the spiral is safe. Grizzleheim. Get back to class. Alright, yeah, I deserve that. Now, between arcs of Wizard 101, anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of years could have passed. In my case, it was about a week, but truthfully, the exact time points of events don't matter, just in the order in which they were done. Next portion of Wizard 101, in a lot of ways, acts like a Season 2. Just a sequel story that adds to the world building while also setting up new things. A good chunk of the established cast gets utilized, yet there's plenty of time to tell new events. I don't think the game quite found its footing just yet, but it's getting there. And the story of Arc 2 gets pretty good. But let's stall on that and talk about another side world. Okay, why am I doing this? Well, Arc 2 consists of 5 worlds, each growing longer and larger than the last. In Dragonspire, the longest world of Arc 1 was only barely longer than the first of these worlds. Along with that, there's still more side worlds and extra content that count as main quests and have narratives within them. Wisteria exists almost entirely for world building purposes. I think by spending more time exploring the spiral more in depth, it allows for the stakes to feel more drastic. Like if you look at a show or anime, having filler can be annoying, but in cases like this where it's simply adding more to the universe, no, it's fine. Plus the concept of wizards having rival schools makes me giggle like an idiot. Following the expedition to kill Malistaire, I get called back to Ambrose, and I'm basically crowned as the best student of Ravenwood Academy, despite literally just showing up. Because of that, Ambrose asked me to go to a rival school called Pigswick Academy as the solo representative of Ravenwood competing within the Spiral games, fighting in hopes of obtaining the ever-iconic prize trophy, the Spiral Cup. Fellas, this is my goblet of fire. Though, for some reason, nobody even came to support me. Like, not having a chaperone's nothing new, but it's just like high school where I feel alienated and alone, and still kind of do, but hey, funny wizard game! Welcome to Wisteria, aka Pigwick Academy. The species of this world is the pigs. A lot of piggies here. They seem to be pretty bad at being students, that's nothing new. Wisteria specifically excels in cantrips, and those are the non-aggressive spells like being able to fish and levitating in place. That's fine, just significantly worse than the actual useful magic that can be used for self-defense. Now again, this is still technically filler, but it's extremely important in showing how more of the greater spiral functions. Like, we learn a lot. I don't think enough people recognize how important this area could be. We learned that there's several other wizard schools. There's a fairy one. There's one in this place called Mirage. We'll get there when we get there. Mushu had a magic school since it was important to their history. And Dragonspire, They couldn't make it. The most important thing I get upon my arrival is like this Ravenwood representation ring that allows me to actually compete for the Spiral Cup for the school. Finnegan Jackalboots throws it into a dorm room drawer for some reason. It's then requested we meet the head person of Pigswick. Now, I was actually warned that this is an infamous character in the fanbase, a popular character by the name of Belladonna Chris, probably the most iconic thing in this world, and I was really wondering how this character could be important. Oh, that's why. Wowzers, Awooga! The polygons make my neurons go boing. Do I want to play Trivial Pursuit with her? That's what you guys sound like right now. Get that shit out of here. Wizards are never horny on main. They are loyal to the quest, even though 90% of the player base wears glasses like the nerds you are. And she's not taking my virginity. I lost it when I was with your mother last night. I'm not taking her heart. I'm taking her career. The goal is simple. Make Belladonna and Pigswick lose the Spiral Cup and bring it back home to Ravenwood. Along the way, though, Miss Cookie Crisp over here thinks Ravenwood sucks at being magical. So I gotta meet all the wacky professors, and they don't even have the same school names that Ravenwood taught. Like, they have some weird bootleg ones instead. This totally feels like being at the away team in a high school sport. It feels wrong. Like, instead of ice, you have frost, no fire but ember, no balance but equilibrium. These names are stupid. Your school is stupid. You're stupid. Pigswick Academy is high-key garbage. They don't even have a talking teleporting tree with dementia. This place is awful. But I do that, and then the crispy woman tells me to gaze upon the magic fountain. It's just a normal fountain, but apparently there's a goblin invasion now. This plotline within the plotline just sorta appears since Pigwick students are, well, you know. So I gotta head on over and kill some dang rotten goblins. The fairy wizard kid says that's her bad. Close up the goblin portal where all the goblins have been goblining. Crisis averted. Surely nothing else will happen in this world. Oh, how could I forget? The Spiral Cup is missing now. That's not good. That's the main thing I was told to come here for. Even worse, the person who stole it left my representation ring at the crime scene. And that means I'm the most likely culprit, and I need to prove my innocence or else... Actually, I don't know. I stopped him Alistair. Is anyone gonna punish me for being a student? I sure hope not, or I'll put the Death School in a place where it'll for sure never be found. For now, everyone's gonna start the tournament without it. So I do that and beat up the first kid, even though it's a tournament arc and nobody cares. Not a single NPC even shows up to watch in the crowd, or at least not that I know of. I found some commercials where they do, but no wizards have supporting parents. For future reference to anyone making or working on games, if something is being treated like a sport, fill in the goddamn bleachers. Things feel so much nicer when you have spectators on site. I know they're not real, but they're real to me. Between the rounds of the tournament, more and more plants show up, and this is a problem. Oh yeah, also, the Spiral Cup can't continue because for a little bit, the cat girl, no, not that other kind, lost her magic wand wandering down a crime-ridden murder alleyway. You all are stupid. It's a miracle all of you even know how to speak to me. I'm bored of Wisteria. Let me speed this up. Bop, doo, beep, boo, bop. All right, I'm a finalist, and now it's time to ask the life professor, Earth professor of Pigswick Academy. For a minute there, I forgot this place was bad at everything. Turns out the Earth professor named Chester Drawers stole the cup. Oh no, he was being mind-controlled by the physical embodiment of nature itself. Classic misunderstanding. Turns out he was a pawn being controlled by the Bramble Master. This is a big tree guy who wants to destroy Wisteria and turn it to its former glory. Noble and kind justified motives. I would help him, but he's a dick, still holding the Spiral Cup hostage. So, yeah, he's gotta go. I guess he also has the Earth Professor's soul trapped in like a wooden doll. So in total, I guess he has to die. Yeah. It's time for the final fight of the cup against Randolph Spellshine, this student of Pigswick Academy. The crowd's going crazy over this fight. This is really demeaning. I wish literally any NPC came to support me in this competition. Brothers, the grind set was successful. Not only was Belladonna Cream and Cheese absolutely #smartphoned, but now I got this cool looking trophy. Hey Ambrose, thanks for not being there when I needed you the most. I thought you were the wizard granddad I never had, but now you're acting worse than my actual family. Because even though they didn't come to any of my sporting events, they came home with Arby's chicken tenders. And I like those, sir. And then I remember him just saying to me, these exact words, not at all abbreviated. Damn, bro, that's literally flipping bananas. Anyway, we just rediscovered Atlantis. What? For a moment, could you imagine the whiplash I had here? Wisteria was a world that existed for purposes of illustrating how this one rival school holds a lackluster education and how the educations are inferior to others within the Spiral. And now we got Atlantis Square Pantis, more commonly referred to as Celestia. And honestly, this location in general is one of the most important pieces of history in this narrative. So pay attention. Long ago, at least centuries ago, there existed the hyper-advanced society of Celestia, along with the astral wizards of Celestia. These wizards created magic with the strength of the sun, the moon, and the stars. And the sun and stars are different, so don't question that. These three types of magic are different types of magic from the schools of Ravenwood, reliant on things like major buffs to spells, transformations, and stat boosts. And for a long time, there was no issue, until the next villain of this major story gets involved. This is Morganthe, Queen of the Shadow Web. Unlike Malistaire, she's just an evil spider lady hungry for power who uses any sort of conflict as petty justification for her terrible, terrible needs. And she wants the astral magic of Celestia in her skill set. So justifiably, the astral wizards that may or may not be aliens, I mean, they sure look like it, they say no, and this forces decades of war because apparently astral magic is that cool and they're gatekeeping that hard. In a final stand, the Celestians summoned the second of the three major titans, the Storm Titan, to save them. There might be multiple Storm Titans, but in the possibility that there are, we're just gonna ignore that because there's only one Storm Titan that matters. Let's just assume that there's only one. We're just gonna go with that from now on. Unfortunately, the Storm Titan was a stupid, dumb, idiot fishman who decided it would be easier to destroy everything and everyone, like he used to always do with First World. So the Storm Titan then starts to raise huge waves across the city of Celestia, unexisting all of it and the army of Morganthe in the process. Just like Dragonspire, leaving this place in ruins with all remnants either wrecked trapped at the bottom of the ocean or partially destroyed under these giant domes. Up until this very moment, Celestia would be gone from history until the Spiral Geographic Society, which we're just going to call SPS, was somehow able to rediscover the ruins and potentially retrieve Celestia's lost technology. Everything was going well for the SPS until, crabs. Celestia has now been overtaken by the Crustacean Empire. To make matters worse, several of the leading members of the SPS have gone missing. So guess whose problem that is? There's a lot that goes on in Celestia. The main goals include saving this pretty dang dapper frog guy named Thurston Plunkett, and also learn the secrets of Celestia's magic. This will require restoring the Grand Astrolabe, getting astral magical artifacts, and getting pieces from the Crustacean Empire to actually get to those places where astral wizards left the artifacts. Halston Balestorm, the Ravenwood Storm Professor, informs us about all of this. Now, Halston is really only crucial in Celestia, acting as a guide and exposition dump, in part due to his connection to the SPS. At one point, Halston was living in Marleybone in a gang called the Thunderclouds. He also gets sent to the main prison for being a dingus by... I actually don't remember. Then through the Doctor Who dog and time travel, he was convinced that his skills were worth enrolling into Ravenwood for. And then by being a good student, he got promoted to an actual teacher upon graduating. This is the last time I will mention this character by name. Immediately after arriving through the world door, the first challenge arises. A lot of the underwater Crustacean Empire is underwater. Humans are not too good at breathing underwater, so the opening portion of Celestia follows me intimidating the SPS with my looming presence, and that helps them find the Celestian device that if anyone touches and says the iconic phrase of that, they will gain gills. So now I'm permanently able to breathe water. Permanently, forever, water cannot kill me. I can breathe underwater. Remember this for future reference. I'm not repeating it again. Unless I do. This is a big script. A little bit later than usual, but I think it's finally time to talk about Celestia in actual game terms. It's fine, I guess. Half of this world looks like the most beautiful PS2 graphics and designs imaginable. The other half looks like when Bikini Bottom got drained out. And it didn't help that much that questing here was just not that fun. This is the shortest world of Arc 2. In terms of quest amount, it was already getting annoying 10 minutes in. The fights are so slow. So much of this relies on just walking, picking up objects, just so much walking. So much of this was just backtracking. My least favorite worlds will just be repetitive backtracking, and this is one of them. To make matters worse, Marleybonians are back and leading the expedition. General rule of thumb, if Marleybone is present, the world automatically is way worse. They aren't nearly as bad in Celestia as they were in Marleybone, but it's still the problem of British furries are punishing my indomitable human spirit like the animals they are. Another thing, I have never been so intimidated by crossing the goddamn street. I'd say about a third of Wizard 101 is reliant on wizards knowing how to cross the street. They say this from the get-go, but if you don't want to get into unnecessary fights that aren't based on quests, by the way, never get into fights unless you have to. Stay far away from the main streets. Stay on the sidewalks. It will be your friend. Unless you don't have sidewalks, because if you do, you might end up getting pulled into unnecessary fights, and if that happens, you waste minutes and minutes of time. In fact, the developers know this, and they will intentionally put vital objects surrounding enemies you don't need to fight. Celestia is one of the worst offenders of this. Despite being an Atlantic utopia, they sure don't have sidewalks, just a lot of enemies where getting pulled by anything leads to fights, and after a while, you just... The story does carry pretty hard in this world. Following gaining the ability to breathe underwater, I am now able to lead my wizard army in Delta P on the Crustacean Nation, showering them with golden drops of violence. The demonic-looking dog people inform me that I can get the star power, so I get the star powers. I'm just gonna take down some sharkmen. Before I can obtain the magic, I meet the Cube, who will guide me toward getting some tokens for the thing, I guess. This is confusing. It's just a bunch of MacGuffins. This is a lot of the game, and I completely zoned out. It was like 2 a.m. when I was doing this one. Another thing done. Wow, Finnegan Jackalboots, says the dog with scary foam teeth. You got one of the things for the thing. Oh, by the way, we have a blimp, and it crashed on a native platypus land. Go get it. Go on your fetch quest. Go get it. Go. Head out of Atlantis, save the dogs from the platypus land. The platypi are actually quite nice. In fact, the game plan goes from rescuing Marleybonians to just befriending the platypi and helping them against their pesky little attackers. I don't mind them. They're actually quite nice. This is the highlight of the world. This takes longer than it should, and the jungle is saved. The leader, Tupatawa, chooses not to eat my feeble little wizard flesh for the survival of the tribe. And though it's only been a couple of hours back underwater, there's been another crisis. One section of Celestia is starting to flood and struggling with ghosts and fish people, as you do. I only remember this part because crossing the street genuinely wasted 20 minutes of my life. I will say though, this moment gives me a good chance to take a step back and better comprehend who Morganth is and what exactly she did. We don't know that much about her yet, but we will later on, but her actions caused literally everyone besides her, enemy and ally alike, to drown for her bidding, with their souls trapped underwater forever, still determined to continue this war after death. It's honestly pretty dark, especially when considering the sheer amount of ghosts that don't move on in the story. Souls being unable to move on from a greater plane because of unfinished business sounds like a real you problem. I'm just gonna get some moon rocks for moon magic. The moon area was a bit of a challenge, nothing we haven't seen already. I feel like I'm keeping it together decently well at this point. Everything in this section of this game was well done to an extent, except for the actual quests, some of the locations, and part of the story. Okay, never mind. I don't like Celestia. I changed my mind. And then the finale, to get the final type of celestial magic, I'll have to successfully infiltrate the Crustacean Kingdom. Do you remember when this was about Egyptian crocodiles? Thurston Plunkett's also here. That was our objective from the beginning. It's a good thing he can breathe underwater. Then we're informed that what's about to happen is undisputably his bad. This British expedition into Celestia has allowed Morganth to be notified and finally return and steal the magic she was trying to get from the very beginning. And she's gonna actually get there before we can and learn everything that we do. So all I can do is buckle up and get ready because she is the antagonist of Arc 2. And she's gotta go. This section ends off with making peace with the crabs. They were trying to defend from Morganth's army. Part of me understands the struggle. Part of me doesn't understand why you're losing to things like this. It doesn't matter. I finally confront Morganth within our first battle. Just kidding, she throws a shark at me and runs away. Before doing that, she utters the phrase, "The mirror will break, the horn will call, from the shadows I strike, and the skies will fall." This is a prophecy that Morganth is hoping to fulfill. This is something that has been around for almost as long as Grandmother Raven and Grandfather Spider. It's not 100% confirmed what this prophecy could mean, but anyone who hears it in the spiral is under the impression that completing the prophecy would destroy everything. So by Morganth saying this, basically implies she's going to at least attempt to fulfill it. Supposedly someone is going to strike and make the skies fall, which really can just be taken as, at some point, someone is going to permanently alter the spiral, likely for the worst. And if it's Morganth, it will definitely be for the worst. Well, that's not good, is it? The big bad's got a plan to set in motion. To counteract this, I'll also have to get approval from former astral wizards and learn the Celestian magic through a giant dungeon that looked concerningly similar to my dreams, along with this one guy named Asteris doing... It's actually really impressive. I don't know how you do that. The climax of this situation sees a fight on what I would assume is a sun. I don't know where this sun would be, but it sure looks like one. This area raises more questions than answers and could take 10 minutes to comprehend, but who cares? I was on the sun and now Celestia's done. The next major story of Wizard 101 has just begun, and once again, the fate of everything rests on my magical wizard's shoulders. Along with that, my time as a wizard also kept happening. Despite the Death School's rediscovery and gain of a proper death professor, my education is still lackluster. To be fair, the magic professors are wizards and educators later, and even though Dorgan's a nice guy and new at his job, I hate his classes. He has very slightly below average rate my professor stats. Celestian magic is officially in the system now. I've digested it, I have learned it. From now on, not only can we expect enemies to have these magics, but now I can fully utilize them. But to be honest, the only one I ended up taking the time to properly learn was the sun magic, capable of buffing attacks by huge amounts and easily capable of dishing out humongous damage. Now complete 180, but Selena Gomez. Unfortunately, I'm a decade and a half too late, but in early 2010, Selena Gomez, as in our Selena Gomez, was preparing for the release of her hit album, A Year Without Rain. Suddenly, crabs came in and stole Selena Gomez. Yes, not the crabs from Celestia, but a different group hiding underwater in Wizard City's Crab Alley was held hostage by King Heinrich Thermidor the 8th, I think. Fortunately though, the Wizards of Ravenwood at the time were able to defuse the situation. Selena then hired some of the crabs as backup dancers for future shows when they came back on Earth. And then at some point, the Crab King would temporarily be replaced by some freaky purple thing in the bonus dungeon called Waterworks. I played the quest to get into Waterworks, I ignored Waterworks, personally do not care about any of the crustaceans. And there you have it. That's why Selena Gomez had a tour with a bunch of crabs that one time. I'm glad we finally have that answer to that really weird time in history where she had those dancers. Not only is this funny being one of the only recorded crossovers in this game, but I think it's genuinely appalling that they completely ignored Wizards of Waverly Place, a show that was still running at this point with Selena Gomez about wizards. If you're gonna have Selena Gomez be the Crab Queen, at least let her be a wizard. Based on this entire situation, there's also the implication that Nick Jonas from Arc 1 was either just a dude who coincidentally looked exactly like and was also named Nick Jonas in the Spiral, making these two completely separate entities, or Nick Jonas got trapped from real life to the Wizard 101 game, or Nick Jonas accepted his new life as a musical wizard. No matter what you do or say, he is still unironically one of the strongest characters in the Spiral. He's capable of shattering the fourth wall. So I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Make the rubbings.
Africa. I really like Zafaria. This is a huge upgrade. Now, unlike many of the prior worlds taking inspiration from Great Wolf Lodge, this is like a Kalahari resort. And that's also a water park where I can easily find my inner peace that takes inspiration from Africa and a little bit of India. Zafaria is, in my opinion, one of the best locations. The devs went all out in making this world look beautiful. Each location felt unique and expansive. The gameplay drags were minimal to an extent, but most importantly, nothing really overstayed its welcome until the very end with a few tiny segments, but they weren't really that big of a deal to begin with. Like, if the rest of the game remained at this pace, which it won't by the way, I'd be more than happy with it. When returning to Ambrose and delivering the news about Celestia, but he mentions that until we can find where exactly Morganth went, it's important that for the time being, I go to Zafaria, not only because that's where Morganth lived for a bit, and thus has some legacy there, along with some of her powers locked away, but also because the fire professor lady with the stupid Arthur and the Minimoys ass haircut, and now her assistant's missing, half a dozen kids are missing, and Zafarian royalty is missing because of her. That's not good. One of the more popular professors has made questionable decisions throughout a lot of her life. Despite being a fire elf, she decided to major in ice magic. Like, she's so dense that only through time traveling and the time traveling dog, like usual, was the fire elf convinced to actually pursue fire magic. And then who would have guessed the fire creature can then make fire, she graduates, becomes a professor, yada 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 heedle. None of the professors are important, but we like them. Meeting up with the witch doctor in Yaga White Stripes, we're told that Dahlia's assistant, the flamingo guy, took the kids to meet the other Zafarian tribes. There are diplomatic problems all around. Despite the fact an abroad program was created, not every part of the world was okay with that, and this has led to issues capturing the whole group across the world. So in other words, you know the drill, solve everyone else's problems to get the things. But why is Zafaria even like this? Well, initially a long time ago, Zafaria was happy and joyous with the 4 animal tribes of zebra, lion, elephant, and gorilla. That was until Zafaria was invaded by Morganth and her shadow spiders because she's an evil causing an evil. Then the king of Zafaria began to pray to the sun. This prayer, as a result, would summon the Council of Light, a group of extremely powerful warriors all across the spiral who would solve everyone else's problems, like I do. The council simply came in, intervened, and Zafaria's all good, with Morganth's darkness being trapped there. In the aftermath, each tribe received a golden artifact that, when all 4 were combined, could bring back the darkness Morganth held. Zebras got the shield, lions the crown, elephants the sword, and gorillas the amulet. And let me stress this, it's very important that these 4 objects are not combined, because they will bring Morganth back. Something bad is going to happen. Following this, there was some civil discourse and some tribal conflicts leading to more tribal conflicts. But all of that can be, and because of me, will be undone. And regarding the Council of Light and who's in it, I'm gonna get back to them, since they're gonna be important. Anyway, after getting approval from the heads of Zafaria's zebra tribe to invade other parts of the world to ask them nicely to stop holding students of Ravenwood's abroad program hostage by also doing what we do best and clobber some animals, it's time to lower another local population. In the savannah of Zafaria, there are the lions. Getting permission to enter this territory took so long that I accidentally found another kid while fighting Morganth's bugs. Now, the lions who live here are having problems with their hunting season. Now, I don't know what they would hunt or anything like that. Also, they have a bad case of the purple water. Making matters worse, the crops can't grow, and there's ghosts everywhere because everyone's dying, so the lions aren't having a good time, and they're also cursed because a couple of centuries ago, there was a murder in the royal lion family on like a pride rock by a guy named Nurgle. So now all of the
learned
ghosts
all
are
that
cursed,
by
and all of
talking
this
with
is
Nashman.
happening over a classmate who will probably drop out after this experience. The water and crops aren't really that much of an issue to revert, and along with that, there's like this weird suspicious zebra guy named like Tom Snakefinger or Tic Tac Snake. I don't remember the exact name. I think it was Snaketail. This guy. That's his name. Just know he's a weirdo who is disguising himself as other animals. He's causing problems. We don't like him. Eventually, I find out that Nurgle is still alive after centuries, taking his time, deliberately ruining everyone else's time. And to be fair, his name is Nurgle. And remember when I said Nurgle, the evil lion, killed his brother that won't ever matter again? Apparently, his brother, King Mansa's still alive. But he's okay now. Anyway, Nurgle dies at my hand. I kind of hate that I can't toggle the to the death mode of my wand. And 2 of the tribes have made peace. We now are friends with the zebras and the lions, and they lost their 2 things already to Morganth, so we're not doing too hot. Now, since that crisis has been taken care of, it's only appropriate we kill off the Grey Horn Rhinosauruses using magic on them, burning their towers. There's too many rhinos alive. They need to go. Alongside this, the Snaketail guy, disguise guy, he's still here giving weird vibes. Apparently, he was helping the rhinos. He was wearing like a rhino mask and was able to infiltrate like zebra bases and destroy What am I doing with my life? Surprise! The Snaketail guy I acknowledge suspiciously too often isn't a friend. It's not like I said that already. And now he's like revived and cursed the skeleton of former royalty King Zebu, so that needs to be intervened. While also looking for him and doing an exorcism on the zebra skeleton, Snaketail's gonna keep resurrecting dead things because he's a necromancer. That's what they do. For some reason, the strength of deceased warriors in Legends in Safaria maintain their power in death. This means all of their essence is up for grabs. Snaketail, the naughty zebra's plan is to gather all the vibes from the deceased royalty across not Africa in the name of the Dark One. I wonder who that could be. Despite our best efforts, Morganth's army is currently doing much better than us. Already acquiring the golden shield and crown, half of the things needed to, make her evil, make her stronger, or make her stronger. Yep, I'm keeping this in the video. If she's able to get the last 2, well, no, that's not gonna be good. So for the sake of everyone, it's important to reach the elephants and get the sword protected. Only problem is that, remember when I said that their prince is missing? I mean, he still is. After begging a dude by the name of Hannibal One Tusk, he offers to help me sail across Elephant Royalty in Stonetown. Now, Stonetown's pretty nice other than the massive crime ring issue. The Elephant Queen's nice. When I asked Miss Elephant Queen about why everyone was mad at the zebras, she's like, yo, some freaky zebra guy named Tum Tum Snake Nose, you son of a bitch. Said that the prince was captured. Oh yeah, he's my son, by the way, and we hate you now. Get my son back. Why is my son missing, wizard? I'm also holding one of your friends in my zoo as a hostage. We have a zoo. That raises a whole bunch of questions about, like, the morality of intelligent animals, but I don't want to think about that. Then I hit her with the sorry for you're missing something, all is forgiven. No idea where the prince is, and all I need to do now is get a signature from some people, including the queen, to get the okay to take the Ravenwood student out from the zoo. This ends up taking longer than it needs to be because somebody thought it would be funny to steal the pen that I'll need for signatures. This is not a bit. Finnegan Jackalboots was responsible for 4 deaths over a pen. When I go and get the Ravenwood kid, he explains some bugs attacked the group, and when he ran to the queen to explain the situation, he was out of breath and they only heard him say prince and zebra, which somehow escalated to this entire fiasco between the whole parties. Nobody asked for any elaboration of any sort. I can see why you guys have national affairs, and from here we learn that some of the enemies have been using enhancing gems to make them more powerful. So after investigating and interrogating merchants, I'm not only able to find one of the people getting those evil gems, but also the gemstone dealer. A man by the name of Bellic. What the hell was that? How did he do that? How did he do that the thing on the screen? It's almost like he cheated. Now, the combat has gotten to an extent more fun, but also a little bit more intertwined. More powerful buffs, spells, and all of that. There's more strategy that has been implemented. It just takes a while to get there. And outside of PvP, in traditional fights like this, there has been a new mechanic called cheats. They aren't really hard to comprehend, but it's when specific bosses have special traits or abilities that alter how players have to strategize and need to play the game. For example, if I buff myself, there could be a cheat where the enemies get the same buff. stuff like that. Now for Bellic, even though he's not too relevant to Zafaria, in the Wizard 101 fandom, Bellic is one of the most infamous characters because of his cheat. If he isn't damaged by the end of any turn, he summons the power of Ra for a ton of damage. In other words, it is incredibly difficult to do this fight alone, but not impossible. And just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. Don't play this game alone. Wizard 101 is 4 times longer and 4 times more annoying. Cherish your friends. Do not play this alone. Once that fight is over, Bellic, who did not die, informs my crew that the power-enhancing gems can be found in the Drum Jungle where the gorillas live. It seems like everything that comes from the gorilla tribe's been causing more problems. Apparently the gems are making everyone misbehave because they're like mentally controlling them. According to the counselor we found with Bellic, he also claims that a zebra guy named like Tonsil Snake Eater introduced the gems to the tribe. Can you stop being you? At least that problem's been figured out. Supposedly Morganth most likely has the prince in her possession and has been using him to find the golden sword the elephants hid in the tribe's giant graveyard. And on the way, we have to save the gorillas, who Morganth already got the thing from, so he's causing so many problems, he's so mean. A gorilla by the name of Coco Smokeside has managed to avoid the bad vibes, but all it ends up being is stuff where Coco can produce magic juju spells, therefore opening a door to the evil gorilla base where Dahlia's assistant is. Very nice. Very cool. Woohoo! Finally at the graveyard. The first elephant queen already likes my shoes, so I get a free VIP pass into the tombs. And the triple whammy. Prince is being used by Troglodyte, Zebra, and Woman. Elephant Prince gets saved after a bug battle. Then there's more bad news. Whoa, Nelly. Morganth got all the gold artifacts. The one thing we didn't need to happen has happened. Very inconvenient. When all is said and done, world peace has been achieved. That's good. But now Morganth is one step closer to destroying the entire spiral, including this world. That's bad. Inyaga Whitestripes, the zebra from the very start, guides us to a lake where I can navigate through and hopefully halt Morganth before any more harm is done. Luckily, breathing underwater, there shouldn't be any problems with— oh, god damn it. Okay, they're gone. I don't think they're gonna return. Now I'm at Morganth, and she straight up just offers the chance to join as her student. On one hand, help destroy the whole spiral and live with the knowledge that so many lives were ruined because of me.
Try the...
On another hand, I mean, I see the vision, but personality is a big thing for me, so respectfully, I'm gonna decline. So then I decline her offer, and somehow I'm able to take down the ancestors of all 4 magic tribes that she summons with the golden artifacts as a final measure to stall me, which does work, and thus she is able to get her vaulted shadow card deck back. And this makes her like 100 times more powerful. Part of me's wondering if declining to join her was worth it. This doesn't look too good. Now, zooming back to Wizard City, I just tell Ambrose flat out, dude, she got the thing. She got the thing? Well, shoot, that's not good. Go to Wintertusk, we'll deal with it later. Alright.
You need a book about Manders? That book is on
This is
loan
probably
to
one
the
of the worst
Wizard
times
City
to have a
Library.
side world show up, and
You
it
will
didn't
have
even
to
need
go
to be
there
like
to get
this.
it.
I just love causing problems. Wintertusk is important for a couple of reasons, but none of it necessarily connects to Morganth and the tasks at hand. But it is very, very important nonetheless, and I cannot for the life of me ignore Wintertusk. Like, so many major questions remain unanswered if you choose to ignore it, and a lot of future content will make less sense. As a reminder, all of the
Would
music
like
in
me
this
to
area was
translate an ancient
specifically
Manda
designed
scroll?
and made by Nick Jonas.
Well, I'm not versed in ancient Manda.
He doesn't even
but I
show
know
up here.
Danforth
He's still in
is.
Grizzleheim. Why?
See him
He
at the
did it, and
excavation
that was a
site.
waste of a motive. Why would you even tease this? I thought Nick Jonas was gonna do more, and now I'm a little disappointed. Also, remember that this continues the Grizzleheim story from a while back, and also sets up a massively important character for the future. Very brief recap, Grizzleheim was about reverting the problems caused by several clans and groups, mainly the Ravens attempting to attain an eternal winter. This time, they officially have a secret weapon, and will force an eternal winter that will eventually freeze the entire spiral. And again, that's not how weather works. It's gonna cause more harm than good. We should probably take care of that. Talking to this one Raven, coincidentally named Hafrin Lore Speaker, they plan on awakening the third and final of the Titans, Grandmother Raven forced to sleep. The Ice Titan, just like the Dragon Titan and Dragonspire, and the Storm Titan, who's somewhere, that is bad and definitely gonna lead to a population decimation. After taking a trip to the other part of Grizzleheim, where this story is gonna take place, I stumble into a frozen village where the frozen bear people, the woman ones specifically look like hockey mascots. I melt them away with kindness. They point me to the direction of a character who we have been missing for a very long time. Trapped in a cage for the time being, I get to meet, in the flesh, the Grandmother Raven. She apologizes for all the bad, uncool vibes those rotten ravens have brought, along with the tribulations that I have gone through. Then she gets freed and looks exactly like the history books shown. To give an idea of how important Raven is, not only was she, like, completely mentioned throughout this entire story so far, she's also the narrator. Like, she's been aware of my quest, following me, narrating everything I do, describing what my very actions do, and she has been here this whole time. We are both familiar with each other's games. I don't know why they decided to leave the god equivalent and easily a top 3 character in terms of importance in a side world, especially considering this is the most important character related to the construction of the spiral, which is very, very important for the thing I am doing in this specific expedition. But she's here now and hanging out with other ravens, hoping to stop them from destroying everything with the Ice Titan. And we already know the story of Grizzleheim, but Grandma Raven does dump some story regarding the rest of the world. Really, it just boils down to the Ice Titan, somehow asleep, had 4 kids, and all of them hate their daddy. He's dangling at the bottom of this world. If he wakes up, he's gonna fall into space and or use that big hammer for some violence. Truthfully, I can say Wintertusk isn't that complex from this point on. Really, it's just about going to all 4 of the Ice Titan brothers and getting their seal of approval. Like, literally, that's the entirety of it. So instead of rehashing everything that the brothers told me and made me do, just know that it revolved around a lot of fighting ravens, proving my worth, putting on disguises, and winning a board game to prove my intelligence. I think this is chess. It only kind of looks like it though. I want to talk about what was going outside of questing. See, while making bread for a quest on my primordial polygonal wolf dog, who I've been using as my ride this whole time, he put his face into the running furnace and making him no longer accessible. So, remembering, and you can't make fun of me for this, I still can't believe I did this, remembering how many crowns I had to my name, I went through the rideable mount shop and spent like 60 real-world dollars on mounts I thought looked cool. I didn't even end up using most of them. I bought like 5, went, that's cool, I don't like them though, and then never used them again. Eventually I ended up on this cosmic unicorn who's gonna be with us for the rest of this adventure. I know some little Wizard 101 shit. I know who you are. I see you, Tobias. I know they're looking at this, growling with rage, having like little tea kettle steam fuming out of their ears, and you can't deny it. I've interacted with the fan base for this project. So many of you wear fedoras and sit alone at lunch while your peers and coworkers mock you. I enjoyed my time with Wintertusk significantly more than a few other essential worlds. I had a good amount of time to recognize that this story is way more fun with other people. So then it became weird to me how many fights were required to be alone when it's a multiplayer game that is just much more enjoyable when you have other people with you. But I guess that's the power of friendship. It's just that, like, seeing other people on Steam playing other games while I had to write Wizard 101 on my calendar to complete this adventure, I really don't think I would have finished this had it been for other people. And I know I've said that before, but it means a lot to me. So after all the seals of approval have been earned and Grandma Raven gives the thumbs up to keep her kid comatose, I made my way to the final area, which is a giant tree fort that the Ice Titan currently resides in, taking a nap time. And geez oh peas, he's a grouchy, sleepy father figure and a half. The despicable ravens I forgot the name of quietly summon and take control of the 4 Ice Titan bros. They forced me to fight in a 4v1. That's not fun. Friendship. Again, shabam. The quadruplets now have shattered bones. The evil coven of ravens skedaddles. The Ice Titan continues to sleep inside of a tree in one of the most uncomfortable sleeping positions I could think of. Like, try sleeping while hanging off a cliff. That's what's going on here. Grandma Raven thanks us for making sure bad things don't happen, and she notes she's gonna be with me as long as I'm a wizard. I feel like that could be taken as a threat. I'd consider it one. Back at Ravenwood, after buying some of the worst wizard clothing imaginable, Ambrose is dumbfounded I managed to save everything for a 10th time at this point. As a reward, he chooses to give me extra credit. Yeah! Whoa! Woo! Oh my god, I forgot about Morganth. The dictator lady is attacking Gamma in the starting office, and here she confirms that yeah, everyone is about to die to her hand. Her way or the highway. This is officially our last chance to swear loyalty as her goon, and I would assume in more ways than one. Fortunately, just like me, Ambrose believes in bros before hoes, tells her to skedaddle, and she does so. And after, Merle takes me back to his office and has something to share. Did I ever tell you about that time I was in a band? Yeah, so Merle Ambrose actually led the Council of Light back in Zafaria, consisting of powerful wizards who have joined forces to take down all of the bad things they could get their magical mitts on. And we've met the members already. Members include Merle, of course, former Coma Haver Mushu's Emperor Yoshihito, Lydia Greyrose, the Ice Professor of Ravenwood. She's like this nice lady who was the first person that Merle added to her staff. As they were younger, she saved him in this world called Caramel, along with Diego, the combat horse that lives in Wizard City and is the head of PvP for players in this game. So for most players, a big deal and well-known character, but for me, just a horse. I never did PvP. From this point on, the objective is to follow Morganth and get the materials needed to truly confront Morganth before the incoming war. First off, good old Finnegan Jackalboots has to get the Sword of Kings, since it's the most powerful weapon we can obtain, and that's being protected by a few warriors in Merle's homeland, Avalon. When arriving there, there's a few important things worth noting. The king known for having the sword I need no longer has the sword I need. No, instead it was left with the Knights of the Silver Rose, which was also created by Ambrose. He absolutely left a big impact on this place before he left. There's a lot of Merle backstory here, so give me a few minutes, we'll get there. The goal is finding all the Knights of the Silver Rose to help me retrieve the sword while also becoming a knight in order to enter the king's castle. Avalon is the wizard world. It's what I would imagine a true mythical wizard world adventure in a kid's game is like, and I think it's super approved. This is officially the point where generic bosses are more powerful than the strongest enemies of the previous arc. This thing is stronger than Malistaire ever was. How embarrassing. Real quick, I had to change my outfit because, I mean, I look like a jackass. These are not wizard colors or shapes. I want to feel like a true whiz, not a picnic basket. This is much better. When it comes to the sword thing, all of the knights have been playing hot potato with the sword MacGuffin, even including the balding otters and this mythical snow deer I found drowning in the purple. This world requires a lot of talking between knights and generally a lot of annoying knight moments. Avalon's currently entirely in shambles. There's invasions in many of the populated areas. Really, anyone that talks to me has some sort of problems going on, like the Fire Elf village is frozen, for example. The large forehead Jimmy Neutron woman need to be defawed. Dahlia used to live here as well, but she decided to infect the rest of the spiral with her presence. A lot of this world goes into becoming a knight, so it jumps between asking knights about the sword and going on knight adventures, slaying dragons, helping the weak, storming castles and towers. It's not as complicated as other worlds have been, but there's still levels of complexity. Some additional quests include saving a Pegasus, befriending the local leprechauns, and making war armor for an ostrich. This is real. We have to do this and save the spiral to help the ostriches. Around halfway, though, I encounter the ghost of Sir Malroy. Now, this character is the brother of Morganth. He's revealed to be the one causing a good chunk of conflicts currently in Avalon. The reason why King Artorius doesn't have the sword is because of Malroy murdering him, and he wants redemption so he can move on from existing as a ghost. He's kind of important, but really just the sibling of the main baddie. So in the end, he's just a ghost who ghosts around, who happens to have a sword I need, until I eventually beat him and break his ghost legs, because immediately after, this fish woman, known as the Lady of the Lake, takes it and gives me a new problem. Actually finding her. She lives in a lake. What the hell would you expect otherwise? While trying to look for her, all I can do is gather all the knights throughout the land and start bringing them together so they can fight off screen and supposedly do knight things to help fix up Avalon once I leave. A little further, I come across Gwendolyn, who stepped onto the battlefield to help the people. She's also the one working to reform the Silver Rose of Avalon so it doesn't end up like this again. And simply by helping, I automatically become a knight. Because of the knights actually getting their shit together, I'm able to distract all the bad guys enough to schedule an appointment with the Lady of the Lake. She recognizes that I'm cool and awesome and I have giant muscles and like a 10 out of 10 in every single corner of the way. So she's willing to give me the sword that I need. We open up the teleporter to the catacombs directly under Avalon's castle. The purpose of this place is to be a route to the real meat of the underground. As in, there's crystal caves in the heart of Avalon. This area is super magical. Even being here causes nausea. There's some special dragons, different models, non-interactable. Surely they won't be important. The finale of this world more so acts as an origin story for many of the characters. What what's gonna happen is I have to time travel to get full context of what is happening so I can figure out what to do next. And this will require me morphing into Gamma, as in the owl that is best friends with Merle, and go through this entire event in his POV to get a proper retelling. Don't ask why there's multiple of us though. And this isn't time traveling or anything. Like, I can't go back and fix whatever happened, and it gives a good amount of context to not only one of the most important heroes, but the most important villain of Arc 2. See, when Merle Ambrose was young, he used to be part of an RPG party as a wizard alongside the warrior Artorias, who possessed royal blood. Their story is very much like King Arthur, among other tales. It's your traditional adventuring. After a while of being a renowned hero, Artorias would be crowned as the king of the land and would eventually marry Queen Gwendolyn. And during all of this, Merle Ambrose takes in one of his first ever students, that being a young Morganth who lives in Avalon. And yes, Morganth has lived in Wizard City, Zafaria, Avalon, and a mystery Mouska world that will be talked about later. The country downfall would begin shortly after Artorias becomes king, coincidentally when Morganth and Sir Malroy serve under the king. Artorias would have this moral code where anyone could join his knights regardless of their background or what awful things they could have done, as a way to get some sort of forgiveness or redemption, and eventually his kindness towards these enemies would be taken advantage of. So
yes.
Morganth, while slowly, let me emphasize that, slowly learns Ambrose's magic, she wants to meet his level of power faster. So she gets her brother Sir Malroy to challenge Artorias in a fight, and some of the goons sneak in to damage his armor without his knowing, and Malroy's on board during all this, mainly because Malroy once found this treasure that lets him see partly into the future, and believes that Artorias would be responsible for the downfall of Avalon to some extent. Now, being in Gamma's POV, let me remind you that it's very funny that Gamma in canon has done all of this. Gamma sees young Morganth shit-talking Ambrose, trying to speedrun magic for all the corrupted reasons, and then after a fight, Gamma goes over to Ambrose and tells him everything. Ambrose calls Morganth a dweeb, demotes her from apprentice to an ordinary student, and unknowingly begins to set her down the path of becoming the that. After this conflict, Sir Malroy and King Artorias fight in the darkest pit of Avalon in the Weirwood. In the battle, Malroy dies at the hand of the king, but only after fatally wounding the king. Thinking that they both died while this is happening, Ambrose makes the revolutionary discovery that outside of Avalon exists the entire spiral, and leaves to go learn about the inhabitants and eventually teach wizardry further and establish Ravenwood. So as he and Gamma leave, Ambrose gives up the magic MacGuffin sword to the knights, but before they do, they set new boundaries with Morganth. Instead of being a student under Merle, she can stay as a traditional student of Ravenwood, with no benefits. Like, Ambrose still sees potential in her, it's just kind of hard not to acknowledge what Morganth did. But we do know what happens next. Right after leaving with Ambrose, Morganth slips right up to the king's deathbed and offers him a cursed item called the Formed Crown, claiming it's the only way he won't die from wounds. But it's cursed! Ooh! So when he puts it on, he turns into this new creature called the Dread Pandragon, and not even Ambrose knows about this. Nobody does. So that's why these guys exist. That's why there is like these special dragons. And we're fighting them now. Once Ambrose properly becomes headmaster of Ravenwood, centuries before we become a wizard, wizards can live almost forever, I would assume. You know, it's magic. It really doesn't matter. Morganth's still a real sour potato about the whole not being the successor of the most beloved wizard of the spiral thing. So then, when considering what to do next, she does this little thing we know and love as arson. Not even magical arson, just normal gasoline arson. Now even Malastaire's mad at her. He tries to revoke her magic gear, and somehow she wins the fight. Ambrose finally puts his foot down and says, "Morganth, you suck. Have fun being expelled, idiot." And so, Morganth has fun being expelled. Hellbent on learning the astral magics. She destroys the alien folks in Celestia. She claims a home base in the mystery Mouska world. The big fight of the Council of Light happens in Zafaria, and she loses some of her power. Something. Now we're caught up with Morganth. That is why she is the way she is, and that is why she must be stopped. Wow, that was a lot. And Avalon's not even saved yet. So we do that. We fight those two dragons to produce an antidote to the curse. Now Avalon's back to normal with King Artorias here. He's super happy to be here. Okay, now Avalon is done. Permanently. We don't need to come back to it. That is the end of this world. Returning to Ambrose, he's pretty flippin' joyous to hear the tides of war starting to even out. Now it might just actually be time to actually take the fight to Morganth and her Darkness army. But hold on. Ravenwood gets a distress call. Those rotten British dogs, the Marleybonians, are in danger. And their astronomer guy, who I actually like this guy, he's fine. He's being attacked by Morganth bugs. So I stopped it, and when helping the lovely guy out, something big happens. It turns out there was a distress call from an ancient world in the spiral called Azteca, a world that is so old and fragile that everyone in Ravenwood thought it was gone forever. And when seeing it from a distance, there seems to be a big giant meteor. And I would say, that's no good. There's a big old meteor named Zabalba that's gonna destroy everything. We gotta stop it. Azteca, Azteca, Azteca. Broken record at this point. I love how this place looks, but I also think it is an odd spot in terms of gameplay. Difficulty-wise, this place is a huge issue for a lot of people. I was going here with several people stronger than me, and I still ran out of health a concerningly high amount of times, kind of indicating I was gonna have to spend more time growing as a player, or just pay to win. Now, in additional context, while I was playing this game, the player counts weren't ridiculously high, but I would see a couple of random players fighting by themselves every once in a while, maybe struggling on missions. At this point, it was quite rare to actually see them fighting alongside me. But here specifically, there was a surplus of people trotting along. I would say upwards of 10% of the player base was just in this world alone. Plus, there was not only an abundance of difficult fights, but also a lot of ones that were just more annoying than anything. Nowhere near as bad as it will get, just kind of a challenge. Actually, a lot of Arc 2 shares these problems. A lot of the community thinks these worlds are too long and too much of a difficulty spike for people to solo and adventure on their own, and that's totally fair, though I'm going to save my thoughts on all of the problems on this game until the very end of the story. Now, Azteca is very old, so old that it was well established when Grandmother Raven and Bartleby sang the Song of Creation, aka the thing that helped create the spiral, and as an award for existing, the Aztecosaurs heard the Song of Creation and thus became guardians behind it, those guards being dubbed Lords of the Night, and acting as a line of defense in the situation that anyone evil tried to take that song. Because if they did, that person could then remake the entire spiral however they want. So guess what Morganth is doing? Morganth wants that very specific thing and is forcing an invasion. Azteca's gone to shit, the dinosaur people are facing a zombie apocalypse. Their world leaders are missing, traitors on every corner. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong. All the stops. The only thing preventing mass destruction being the purple, because it's a good purple. The giant world-ending comet can't end the world. We have to make sure nothing happens to the dinosaur people who are Aztecs, who prophesized the world would end in 2012 when this world released in 2012. Also, monkeys. This species is called the Monquistas, and right now they're being led by Ponce de Gibbon. That's cute. They don't do much, but keep them in the back of your head for future reference. This is another European mammal species, so I'm right up there with Marleybone, though I like them a little bit more. They're monkeys. Too bad that they exist mostly in Pirate 101, so I don't have to talk about them today. Maybe another time. I'm digging my own grave. You guys are gonna want that Pirate 101 project. 100k likes. I'm serious. It's important to note that each of these worlds, because they have like different orbits, Wizard 101 takes an interstellar route where each world flows in different places of time due to the magic. For example, Azteca might move slower than Wizard City, so maybe years pass in another world where I'm fighting in another one. It's incoherent, it's flawed, the developers themselves have been like, we don't freaking know, and overall, that's why a chronological timeline of history is actually an impossibility. Like, each of these Wizard characters could be anywhere from decades to centuries old. Wizard 101 is choosing to be more difficult just with an alternate timeline. I'm moving on. Overall, this world has a lot of mind